Well, everybody, welcome to the FLATOUT Cars GT3 E-Series, round number 6, coming from the circuit de Spa this week in Belgium. And it's going to be another fantastic night of racing with practice happening at the moment. Of course, joining me back on the mic, Chris Mitchell. It's fantastic to be back and talking to you again.
It's great to be back and racing into the darkness here at Spa-Francorchamps. We are going to have a pretty hard time of figuring out who's who when we pick up these cars during the night race, but it is going to be really cool. The Spa-Francorchamps track is just something else when it comes to putting GT3 cars around.
You know, it is going to be an interesting track, and there's a couple of, very fast. And one thing with this one is it is 7 kilometres long, so it is a big track, lots to get around. Very fast flowing though as you go through it. That's what I noticed too, getting around. Did a couple of laps here a bit earlier on just to have a bit of a go, see if I could make it. So some really fast sections there where you just got to feather the throttle and get through, but then you get right down to some real tight second and first gear corners. So, you know, a bit of everything there. And I do notice as you go around turn 16 and 17, it's really fast flowing, and if you just lift the car too much and get a little bit of gravel there or something, it spins the car out really easily because you're in top gear. You know, you're probably doing an excess of 300 kilometres an hour, so anything can happen when you get around this circuit. 7 kilometres, Chris, mate, that is huge.
Yeah, it's going to be big drafting games in play and using a lot of the road racking up a few of those incident points in track sections through 16, 17, 18 out of Coba Polfrere and into Blanchimont as well. You can run the car really wide out of 16 because there's a lot of runoff there, and it's actually, you know, the bitumenized runoff area. That could be worth a couple of tenths of a second here, but then we get down into really tight sections like the chicane at 19 and 20. Before they make the run down to La Source. That's going to be where the racing is on, especially off the start here for a half-hour or 1 hour long race.
All right, so let's go through it. Of course, at the moment we are here at round number 6 in Spa. We've already got that one crossed out, and it's only a week away and we go to Monza for another night round, so that's going to be fantastic. So we're getting well and truly into the rounds here of the GT3 series, well, thanks to FLATOUT Karts. And, of course, let's have a look at the last round's results. And this was round number 5 at Daytona Road Course. Paul Mansell got the win there, so the Injectors online entry. Pretty happy to get that one. Mason Harvey got on the podium there in second position. And Sam Dicker, though, was the talk, wasn't he? Because he was challenging Paul Mansell. He had the lead for a few laps. And a restart there where he got involved in some incidents, and it put him right back in the field, had to make his way all the way back onto the podium.
Yeah, that was a big moment there for the championship, letting Paul Mansell just get away with a few more points by taking the win there. But that race was full of action and incidences when it came time to go racing, and especially on that safety car restart. And we are expecting another safety car again tonight for this round. Yeah,
I won't be surprised. Some of those corners are going to be hard to pull up, but there's not as many overtaking opportunities at Spa, so they're going to have to use every single one they can possibly get. Eli Tunstall came in 4th, Nathan Norman in 5th, Kevin Norman 6th, Scott Stevens in 7th, Fitzroy Beaumont 8th, Sebastian Guest in 9th, and in 10th was Tyrone Anderson. And I'm just trying to remember, a couple of those guys actually got some penalties after the race, hence they did not. They actually got moved back down, and that's why you see them down in the results. But if we go to the series points today, of course, Paul Mansell now has a nice little lead there. He's got a almost 240 points, is it? 241 point lead over Sam Dicker, who's missed around there. That's something to take note of, with 289 points up for grabs for a win. And you do get to drop around in this series. So Paul Mansell will drop back at some point at the end, which will be very interesting. Kevin Norman in 3rd, Mason Harvey in 4th now, Corey Bennett, Kieran Ellis, Fitzroy Beaumont, Eli Tunstall down to 8, Craig Spencer up into 9, and Dylan Saints just sitting there in the top 10. But what I'm looking at here in the championship, it's really hotly contested, all the way from 3rd down to 7th. That's where they are all bunched up at the moment.
Yeah, it's super tight in there. Sam Dicker needs a good result at this round with just a couple of rounds left to go before we go into the endurance races and those much longer race formats. Sam needs to have a good result to try and earn some points back off of Paul Mansell. But that said, a bit of talk with Sam coming into this round is he's just gotten off a plane. He's just flown in from Queensland for where he spent the weekend for the Australian Kart Championship, and he is very, very tired tonight. And it's going to be interesting to see whether that really comes into play for his performance, trying to earn some points back off Paul Mansell here.
Yeah, listen to some of the chat a bit earlier in practice. Some of the guys are struggling, like they say. It's hard to string 2 laps together sometimes because you do get confident, don't you, when you're in top gear and the track's nice and flowy through those sections, and then you're under lights. If you miss your braking point, which isn't that hard to do here, it's all over and you're wide. Like you say, at 16, there's a bit of a runoff there, but other areas, like when you get right down to turn number 1 there, that It's really a first gear corner, the La Source, and you know, if you run off there, there's nowhere to go. There's a bit of a wall at the end too. Especially the other thing to talk about is the pit lane. So you come in out of 18 and on 19, and you've actually got to cross over to get in. It's a very tight entry into the pit lane here, which is going to be interesting there. So you don't want to be too far under someone because they're going to have to cross over in front of you. And as they come out too, just after turn number 1 as well, they'll have to rejoin the race there. Luckily, they are on the inside of the driving line, so that's not going to be too bad for them.
It's going to be interesting to watch how they go tonight, and it's going to be a long qualifying session, how they really rack those up. But the parts that I'm really looking for as well, it's going to be the easiest parts to lose the car, especially in the opening stages of the race. We're expecting a bit of carnage at La Source, of course, at the start, but when we get into down that long camel straight through turn 7, 8, 9 at Lecombs, the cars can get out from behind you a little bit, especially through 9, where it actually drops off after the apex, and it's really easy to understeer the front end out to the rumble strip and get caught up, and that's where we might see some action come race time.
Yeah, definitely. As we have a look at the race preview for tonight, we've already mentioned a lot of this stuff. 7 kilometres it is to get around. At the moment, the best lap being put together from Gianni Litsu with a 2:17. I'm expecting we're going to see about 24 laps here tonight, knowing that we probably will get a safety car. We're expecting it to come out again tonight. Big long racetrack, so the laps are going to be minimised, but plenty of time out on track. Of course, it is a 1-hour race. We've got 30 minutes of qualifying coming your way up next. Practice underway at the moment. It's only a couple of minutes left in that. So we'll get straight into qualifying, and we'll see who is going to top the charts there at the moment. Paul Mansell, Sam Dicker are 2nd and 3rd, who are probably the favourites. Air temp set at the moment, 18.9 degrees Celsius. Track temp's the same. Humidity, there's nothing there, mate. Nothing to talk about at all. A little bit of a southerly wind direction, 10 kilometres an hour, and of course clear skies, although it is at night. So all that means is we can see the stars.
Oh, we can see the darkness and hope to pick the numbers out as they come on past. It's going to be a tricky one tonight, not only for our jobs here, Matty, but for the drivers as well. Gauging those repetitive and trying to be a robot behind the wheel is going to be very difficult on track. Yeah,
I think I'm going to have to keep the graphic up to let you know exactly who we are looking at on track, because it's going to be super hard tonight to follow that out there on track. Craig Spencer is actually up there at the moment. He's getting a couple of laps and currently sitting 6th fastest. Dylan Guest is 5, Scott Stevens in 4. Just going to see whether we do. Mr. Kieran Ellis is back, and let's have a look and see what he's done for us this week. Oh, we've given him a camera curse already, have we? No, he's just plodding along. I think that's a reset happening there. Justin McLean.
He did tell me he had a nice livery.
That we can't
I don't know whether we're going to see it, though.
All right, are the beers back? That's the question. Tyrone Anderson. Are we on the Great Northerns again? Possibly. We don't know. This is like one of those games you play where they cover up the label on the beer and you have to decide what beer it is. That's exactly what's going on here with Tyrone Anderson.
Like the clean skins.
Yeah, a bit of clean skins there. We've got a bit of seconds coming out of the factory at the moment. Justin Cotter, another name that we haven't seen at every round, so good to see him joining us as well. Shane Newens is back from the territory. Corey Bennett, the Azure Autosports, is back as well. He missed last round, which is a bit of shame for him due to the seeing where he is in the championship at the moment there. So hopefully he will be able to join us for the remaining races. The Azure Autosports guys, of course, Fitzroy Beaumont, his teammate, and he is out there too. He's posted a 2:18.957 in 8 at the moment. It's practice though. This is purely practice session at the moment. And look at that, 40 seconds left to go.
Not too long here. We'll follow along as I think we're watching someone go up the camel straight and they're actually coming to a complete stop, are they?
That's Corey Bennett, yeah. I think he's decided it's going to be reset time. Mason Harvey's on a bit of a run. This is our practice session day, 25 seconds left in this one. So it's going to hard reset pretty quick here. And we're going to go straight into 30 minutes of qualifying. Now, with the 7 kilometres, what are we talking? 2:20. Well, I'm going to do the maths here now. And we'll divide that by what's 2:20, 140 seconds. They're only going to get 12 laps to do it, 12.8 laps, but you've got an out lap. So that's going to be kind of slow and traffic. So not too many laps this time. It's not like the shorter circuits where you're possibly going to get 20 laps to try and set a qualifying time. Also with the boundaries of the track, in qualifying, if you go too far out, over too many ripple strips, get too many incident points, brush a wall, which can happen here in a couple of the corners, null and void qualifying lap. And that is what's going to play into this qualifying session, as it is already getting started.
Yeah, the hard part going to be here is, and especially the strategy that comes to many of these guys, is get out early, try and find yourself a bit of clean air early on in the session here. get a banker lap in. Just get a lap that you're satisfied enough with, that you didn't rack up any incident points. You're able to lean on that if it really, really comes to it and you're actually struggling to set a time towards the end of the session. You've at least got a banker lap on the board that you can lean on for the race.
There we go, Sam Dicker's out on track at the moment too. A bit more lighting coming out now, which is good to see. The flash of the lights there as he comes around. Sam Dicker driving the BMW M4 this time, which is new to the GT3 series. We didn't see it in the first couple of rounds because it wasn't released. The old BMW was there, and now it has been released into the GT3 category. So let's. It's going to be interesting too, I think, with fuel stoppage here. I don't think they'll have to definitely pull into the pits. Whether they'll take tyres here though. A lot of high speed, not as many sharp, hard corners. I think they may get away with not changing tyres on this 1 hour race.
Yeah, the GT3 cars are pretty kind to tyres in this iRacing platform, and they can make them run for quite a while. It's going to be interesting to keep an eye on who has got the car set up and their crew chief set up properly. We saw that happen, and the real trivial thing that came to mind at the Daytona race last round is, even though guys did take tyres in their pit stop, they got that time back in the competition caution, I'm going to start calling it, the safety car that came out to reset the field. And we do have one of those tonight. We don't know when it's going to come. We've got a little bit of pulling power on, say, on when it's going to come, though, Matty. I'm not sure whether you put much thought into when you want to ask them to pull out the safety car, but we've got a bit of power on that. But that could be the game plan here. Some guys might decide just to take tyres for the hell of it.
They may do. That could be exactly what happens. So it'll be very interesting with that one. We'll have to wait and find out, I think. It's going to be hard to tell. But we'll make it happen. We always seem to. So that's exactly what we're looking for. Qualifying session well and truly underway at the moment, as we can see up here. It's time remaining 27.5 minutes. So they're all on outlap at the moment. That's Shane Ewan's up on your screen, although it is very dark in that section of the track and we can't see him getting around, which is unfortunate at the moment.
Wow, it gets so dark right there. That is so blindingly dark. I think this is down at Pujon through turn 12. It's kind of a double left-hander. Then through the straight into 13, it goes right. You're really got to be careful on your throttle application here. Into the left at 14, a campus. And then you use all the rumble strip setup down to second gear in turn 15, Stavelot. And this is where you start to open up the taps. And watch for the runoff here on the outside of turn 16 at Paul Frere, because they're going to go all the way out. That was pretty tidy, actually. That was nice and tidy from Shane Ewens. That's what we'd expect during racing when people are trying to not rack up those incident points.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're going to be looking for. Just need to be cautious here. Like I say, fast track, sometimes you just got to be very gentle on the throttle there, just not to excite the tyres in the back of the car too much. I'm just having a look who's coming around though. Shane, I don't think this will be his first flying lap. This will be his out lap. Just trying to see who is probably going to be the first to complete a lap, and it looks like it will be. I'm just having a look up on our screen at the moment. I've got a number 16 at the front, which is Fitzroy Beaumont actually leads out. He's just reset. Might be a bit of a glitch there, maybe some net code going on. So Shane Ewens will come round. He goes across the main straight there. He's just missed pit entry, which is fine. He's done his out lap, and now he is onto a flyer. But let's get on. Sam Dicker looks like he is the next person who's out there on a flyer at the moment. So we head back to him, and we'll start going through a few of the drivers in a second. We'll bring up his time on screen. We have seen a 2:17. Who was that in the background? I've got something new for you, Chris, today. Don't know who that was, but we'll go back to here and see if we can see it.
Oh, here we go. It's getting fancy now.
Oh, we're getting fancy now. I'm just going to see who that was in the background, maybe, just to grab him. I've gone
Someone
back.
spearing off the track
Here
at
it
campus.
is.
Here we go.
No.
Wait, that was a BMW of all things.
Yeah,
could have been Eli Tunstall.
Oh, look at this. We've done it all for you.
Wow,
this
we're pulling
week,
out
mate.
all the stops now.
Yeah. Someone gave you some video editing software. That was a mistake.
Mate, you put in all the work in the off sessions between the rounds, and I just turned my computer on and come and joined you for the night.
Yeah, I need to get a life. I've got plenty to do, and I didn't have time to do that, but it was annoying me not having it on our broadcast, so I had to make it happen.
All I've got right now is a guy messaging me to buy a phone off Facebook Marketplace, and it's annoying the hell out of me.
So Sam Dicker the first to get across the line now as they all start to come around. He's got a 2:18 under his belt. This is Fitzroy Beaumont, but I think he sort of had some netcode issues there, and that time up there is not indicative of what he has been running. We may get something up on the screen. Paul Mansell's done a 2:19.668, which is not surprising from Paul. He'll just gingerly come out. He normally doesn't set the fastest time straight up. It takes a few laps and he starts to challenge Sam Dicker's time. Just having a look, they're all starting to head now as we come around. Lots of people starting to make their way through. Scott Stevens found some light.
Yeah, he's getting lit up by the cars that are lining up behind him as he comes out of the chicane to run towards La Source. This time around, it's a 2:19.427 for Scott. That slots him into second at the moment. 1.2 off the back of Sam Dicker so far, but he had a great battle with Sam earlier on in the last round in Daytona, and he was the other driver that came together in that restart incident after the safety car at the Daytona Road Circuit night race. We'll see if they're lining up to try and have a go at it again in this round.
All right, just checking this one out, and that's Sebastian Guest. We've got a time. I just want to see maybe something going on there. Corey Bennett's coming around to complete a lap, though. And it is interesting that it doesn't want to pick up the times at the moment on the software, but I'm just having a look up in our actual timing screen. I think what's actually happened there, and the reason we are getting the time, is they have actually created an incident on track which has null and void their qualifying lap. So they've either gone outside of the track exterior, you know, like if they're too far over the ripple strip, or they've nudged a wall or something, and that's what we're seeing here, is that they are pushing that at the moment, trying to get these times done, and that's why we're not recording the time. So that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, some of the guys taking the opposite kind of approach to getting a banker lap, and they're just going out absolutely as hard as they can to try and record the fastest time possible. And they'll start to panic when they get inside that last 10 minutes and they haven't got a time on the board yet. They'll start to button it off, and that's when you can make silly mistakes here, though, Matty. This track is really, really hard to get right every time, and it's really easy for it to bite you in the backside and really bring the back end of the car unstuck.
Well, Fitzgerald Bowman the same. That's reset his time. Here we go. Edward Mitchell, though, is on a full lap at the moment. 2:19 so far as he'll come around to complete this one. Let's see where he ends up. A 2:21.980. And that won't put him too far back, actually, but it hasn't recorded the time up there. So maybe another one where he's not going to get a qualifying time. He's gone outside the limits of the track at the moment. Kieran Ellis is coming around. Can we get a nice light shot of him? He's just started his lap, actually. So Kieran Ellis has just come around to start a lap. But we'll have a look who's coming down the back straight. Craig Spencer's actually coming down here, not too far away from completing a lap. You see him just come down past. He's heading in now to the chicane. Right down here too, really. You get right into first gear. Push it through here. Can really unstick you there if you don't get on the brakes enough, unsettle the car too much. He comes around, not the lap he's been looking for though, a 2:28 for him. A few times starting to appear on our board actually at the moment.
Yeah, in the process, we've had a couple more show up on our timing screen here. Sebastian and Dylan Guest both racing in this round. It's good to see the Guesty brothers both having a crack at it. They slot into third and fourth. Dylan third, Sebastian fourth. Paul Mansell goes to P5 with the 2:19.6. Justin McLean in the sixth spot from Mason Harvey, Neil Woodburn, and Tyrone Anderson, all setting a clean enough lap that earns them a time. The top four cars, BMWs at the moment, followed by two Lamborghinis of Mansell and McLean. Audi and BMWs for Harvey and Woodburn, lining up your top 8 at the moment. Anderson just dropping into P9.
Yeah, Scott Stevens, good to see him up in second position at the moment. That's a good result for him, 2:18.859. So he's about 7/10 off of what Sam Dicker is doing at the moment. Dylan Guest slots into third. So Paul Mansell being pushed back. He's going to have to do something there as we stay on board with Scott Stevens at the moment. Seems he is with a couple of cars out there now, bunched up at the moment. Oh, who's that spun out? Don't tell me that's Kieran Ellis or something. No, that can't be Kieran Ellis. That's not bright enough.
It's going to be hard to tell what kind of livery Kieran Ellis is running tonight, which is a real shame because he said he had something new for us again. He's sticking to his guns and bringing out fresh liveries each round of the FLATOUT KARTS GT3 E-Series, but this one might be all for naught. He might get away running in the same livery 2 weeks in a row here because we won't see it this round.
No, we won't. I'll put the leaderboard up. You can see there we haven't even had 10 people complete a lap with a qualifying time yet. Tyrone Anderson's just sitting outside. No, there we go, 10. Tyrone Anderson's gone to 10, and I'm just trying to see who's got in there. Justin McLean, I think, has just snuck in there.
Scott Stevens has been dropped to third now in time as Paul Mansell puts in a 2:17.5 to put him up the order, and he goes to the top of the board. Sam Dicker into second with that 2:18.1. He hasn't set a quick enough time to go any further up the order yet. And Sam, like we said earlier, Matty, is nursing it tonight. It's going to be interesting to see how he goes in tonight's race. He's had limited amount of sleep. He flew in from Queensland the very early hours. He flew out of Queensland early this morning, flown in, got a stonking headache, and he's jumped straight on the sim to keep it up in the FLATOUT KARTS GT3 E Series. But he's under a bit of pressure if he wants to take this from Paul Mansell and really start to put the squeeze on in the back end of the championship.
Yeah, Paul Mansell's starting to get his flow on in this championship now. I think we're going to see him pull over maybe. No, he's under full acceleration there. So Paul Mansell currently sitting in first position in qualifying with a 2:17.547. And you see the fastest laps up there, Sam Dicker. He's only 6 tenths behind him. Then it goes only a couple of tenths back to Scott Stevens. He had a good last lap when we had him up on screen. So he's actually improved his time by half a second there, just outside of Sam Dicker's time. Paul Mansell will come around. He's not too far from completing this lap as he heads down the back there, just past the curve. Paul Ferrer down into 16 and 17. Here he comes on a big charge, and in front of him is number 16 Fitzroy Beaumont at the moment, just in front. Can't see him on screen, which is not too bad. It's all right. I did have a look at some of the camera angles a bit earlier, Chris. I can tell you, like all the suspension ones, you're not going to see a thing at the moment. Not enough light out there.
You need a little backlight on the camera.
Yeah, I need a backlight on all the cameras.
Racing programmers.
Yeah, I'm sure it can be done. Oh, see that? That is breaking.
That was very deep. And into the pit lane.
Into the pit lane. And that's what I say. It's going to be tricky with pit lane at the moment. Going to be very tricky. Neil Woodburn's in 10th at the moment as he's coming around to complete another lap now, just heading down into the chicane. Trying to see who hasn't made it. So Eli Tunstall has not got a lap done with a time. Fitzroy Beaumont hasn't done one where it's actually counted the lap yet either. Just trying to see where he is on track at the moment, the number 16. He's doing quite a number of laps out there. He's just started a fresh lap, so we'll go to him very shortly. Another one going into the pits.
Yeah, Neil Woodburn into pit lane. It's interesting to see Gianni Lutz, who hasn't set a time yet. He's, interestingly enough for Gianni, last time when he qualified and didn't end up doing much in the race, the shifter on his wheel setup failed, and he was unable to complete the round, which was the reason why we didn't see him up there last time. But he's been back, and he still hasn't got the shifter fixed, so he's back to a bit of an ad hoc bod setup to keep himself going. But he's been recently doing some testing back with the Rise Racing in a Formula 1000 during the week, as he just puts in a time to put himself up in the 4th, 2:18.539 for Gianni. And it's good to have him back, and he's going to be another one to really throw the spanner in the works for some of our main contenders in this championship at this round.
Well, Corey Bennett now gets a time, which is good to see. So he actually does record a time. Unfortunately, it is in 13th at the moment with a 2:20.295, but he's got a time on the board. Sometimes you just got to back off that fraction, don't you, and just try and get a lap in that puts you somewhere so you're not all the way down the back. As Shane Ewens now is coming around to complete another lap, and he hasn't recorded a time yet, so hopefully he can hold on to this one and get through the last little chicane as he comes onto the start-finish line straight down to the La Source. Here we go. No, we're not going to see that time there. Means he has obviously extended the boundaries of the track at the moment and won't record a time. Fitzroy Beaumont still hasn't.
1:13, so it could have been an outlap for him.
Yes, unfortunately, so still has not recorded a time there. I'm just trying to see who else we've got here at the moment. Fitzroy Beaumont on a bit of a run, and the time is up, but looking at where he is, coming around through the chicane now, I don't think that is a lap that's going to be counted either, which is very unfortunate.
I think when we're looking at times around a minute to a minute 30 as they're coming towards the end of the lap, I think that's what it counts as their outlap, but it doesn't start their outlap time until they reach the first intermediate, which is just about in the braking zone of turn 7 at Lacombe. So they actually miss out all the time from the start finish through Radion and Eau Rouge and all the way up the Kemmel Straight, which takes away about 45 seconds of the lap. And that's where we get to see that. So a good indication to let us know that they're on an outlap, but still hard to keep track of who's going where, as that was getting awfully close there.
That's Kieran Ellis, and that's who spun out before, I reckon. That looks very familiar, that little spinning livery we saw from Kieran Ellis. So that's what he's got on board for us. He's in the BMW this week.
Yeah, I can spot a bit of the red and black on board. Can't see much of the anime theme. You can just say there's something there. That's like about all we can tell as somebody else goes around. That was one of the FLATOUT KARTS cars going around there on the exit of La Source.
I don't know. We can try and have a look if you think you know who it is. Just trying to see who that is in the background there. Was behind them. Oh, yeah,
As they came down on the brakes.
Oh, just hit the ripple strip there, so we're not going to see it. All right,
Yeah, it's a hard one.
What are these guys doing? I think they're just playing around now. They're just having a bit of fun out there on track. They're not taking this too serious because Sam Dick is on a bit of a run just behind him. Well, it looked like that, judging by the speed, but these guys are just sitting behind, seeing what they can do. Justin McLean is about to come around and complete another lap, and looks like this one's well and truly getting counted. Fitzroy Beaumont actually did get a lap in there, looking at the timing screen, so it might just be something with the software that's giving us the feedback. But he did a 2:21, 3:27, so he's done a safe lap just to get himself in there. Peter Hurd, Josh Drage are on board tonight, and Josh will be actually one of our officials watching. Shane Ewens is so far the only person I've got up on screen who hasn't set a lap time at the moment. And as I say that, he just crosses the line there. Looks like he's just in front, and he does a 2:23. So he is in an Audi tonight. Good to see him change that one up, because I'm just trying to think what Shane's been getting around in the last couple of rounds. But I didn't think it was an Audi. I think he's had the Beamer and possibly a Ferrari. No, it wasn't Ferrari. Maybe a Lambo.
Could have been the Lambo, I think it was. At previous rounds there for Shane. We are into the back half of qualifying here at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps for this week's round of the FLATOUT KARTS GT3 E-Series. Currently, Paul Mansell is the fastest, 2:17.547. Scotty Stevens in the second with a 2:17.908. Sam Dicker into third with a 2:18.1. Gianni Lutzu into the fourth with a 2:18.4. Craig Spencer rounding out your top five with a 2:18.7. I was interviewing Craig's older brother, Stuart, a couple of days ago up at Arise Racing, of course, one of our FLATOUT KARTS GT3 E-Series sponsors, up there at Wanneroo Raceway, getting the ins and outs of Radical and Formula 1000 racing with Arise. And I said, oh, does Craig want to go back racing again? He said, yeah, Craig wants to go racing, but he's realising how much money it costs. So he might stick to the simulators.
Well, I don't think they're much cheaper now. Nowadays, everybody's getting on. Sim gear is getting more and more expensive, I can tell you. It's but it's a fantastic thing, I suppose. If you crash out in simulator racing, you just do a bit of a rage quit, reset, come back the next day.
Yeah, it depends on how much you throw stuff.
Yeah. Yes, it does depend on how much you do throw stuff. Gianni Lutzu was the fastest in practice, actually, so I'm just going to get on board with him, the number 58 at the moment, in Audi this week, as he's getting around, just heading up the back there through the, I'm going to get this wrong, the Fagners. I'm not Belgian enough to do an accent for this one.
Yeah, well, he's coming out of out of Stavelot now into Paul Frere, and on the run towards Blanchimont, this is flat out top gear. What speeds are we hitting through here, Matty?
That is a good question, and one I can tell you.
There we go. There we go.
You know, I probably should have brought that up a bit earlier so we could see what everyone's doing. Top gear, and
That's all right.
A lot of top gear here compared to some of the tracks we've been at, which is the difference. The GT3 cars are really going to enjoy that, especially the way they're shaped up. And that'll be the interesting thing to see whether people have gone to BMW for that reason. I know the Audi's a bit of an all-rounder so far, but some of the other cars are a lot faster when we can stay in top gear. Definitely don't have as much handling as some of the others, but the straight line speed will be a bit of a difference. And that's probably one of the advantages of being able to change cars throughout this series is you can pick a car to suit your circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. As we saw him topping out 245 kilometers per hour on the way towards turn 19 at Chicane. We're going to see entering Erosion Radion, 235 kilometers per hour. We'll see what he can get up to up the Camel Straight here.
I'll go back for you, mate. I was going to Sam Dick because he's coming around.
Oh, there you go.
We'll go back to Gianni.
249, just nudging over 250 down Camel Straight. That is moving in a big old heavy BMW.
Yeah, he's holding on to that one. So that's Gianni, and I suppose he's right up there at the moment, sitting in fourth fastest with a 2:18.426. His last lap didn't count, unfortunately. May have been an out lap, like you say, as he brings this Audi around now. There's a few people getting out of the way, which is great to see. Everyone's just making room for everyone out there. 19 cars on track at the moment. Peter Hurd, we haven't seen him do a lap yet. He may just be watching in the background, choosing not to be part of this one. I am missing Mark Peck here tonight. I'm missing the bald eagle. It's his birthday today. Big shout out to Mark Peck. I hope he's having a spa and an ice cream and with his mates. Maybe he's even spending some time with his wife. You never know. He doesn't do it very often.
I mean, it is a requirement that we do spend time with our significant others at some point during the weekend, I'm sure.
Oh, he'll be spending time with a significant other, but just I don't know if that's his wife. Oh, good to see Mark. We shared out to him. Hope he watches this one too. Here we go. Gianni will come around in 4th position at the moment. Just about to complete this lap. We'll see how he's going to end up. Yeah, it's faster there, isn't it?
Bloody quick. 250 plus on the way down towards chicane. That's moving for Gianni as he comes out of the chicane and makes a run towards the line. See if he can put in a fast enough time. 2:18.023 for Gianni.
Wow, keeps him in 4th position, but he did improve on his previous time. So we've got 3 cars actually in the 217s at the moment. And Paul Mansell is back out there, who's our .1 man at the moment. The injector's online. He's just leaving pits. So it was great for me to cross to him. Let's have a look at Sam Dicker, who's trying to better his time. So Paul Mansell's down to a 2:17.424. Sam Dicker right behind with a 7:44. Then it's Scott Stevens with a 2:17.908. So he's got in those 2:17s. He's been pushing really hard. And Gianni just outside that with a 2:18.022. Craig Spencer in 5th, as well as Sam Dicker's doing a repeat of what it was a couple of rounds ago, but it was the final lap. And he is in the sticky wall. That is run and done. He will be resetting and going back to the pits.
Wow, that was a big one there from Sam. We've gone on board with Paul, though. Oh, I love the engine note. That is making my night here as we follow Paul onto the Camel Straight. Just coming out of that little kink in the straight there on the exit of Radion and Eau Rouge. As you can see him run up towards the braking zone. Now down through the gears. Going to keep it in 3rd, which is interesting enough. Trying to keep the rev range quite in the mid area. I was actually expecting them to drop down to 2nd for Lecombs, but they might reserve that for corners like Bruxelles and Chicane. Maybe even 1st for Chicane and La Source. There we go, through 2nd on the way down Bruxelles. This is a fantastic corner. Just a long, slow right-hand hairpin. You've got to really pinch the car off in the middle and kind of diamond off the corner in some cars that don't have as much exit steering as their opponents. You've got to really, really drive the car off the corner to get the speed, and then you go all the way down to Puhan here at turn 12. Have you got a favourite part of this track, Matty?
I do like the back straight there from 15 to 18. So it's very fast coming out at the curve pull for air. Once you get out of there, it is just click through the gears and, you know, try and hold on to it. Like I say, if you get a little bit too much of a bump coming out of one of the corners or something, especially going through 16, the car gets loose very quickly and it's all over Red Rover. So I do like going through there, just feeling it on the edge. I like feeling the car right on the edge of the tyres. Yeah,
we just watched Paul do just what you mentioned there at Stavelot turn 15. Just pushed it a little too wide on the exit, and there's no runoff there. There's just a little bit of curving, AstroTurf, and then sand, and it grabs the car and robs all your momentum off it. But through here is just absolutely awesome. Flat out, hard on the brake, get it straightened up and squared away for the chicane, and hope you didn't brake a few meters too late as you get set up for the next one. Personally, for me, it's that run from like turns 9 through turns 12 on the way to 13. That whole segment there really makes the lap for me, and I found when I've done a bit of online racing through platforms other than iRacing, I've been able to be a bit quicker than some other guys I've been racing against through that section specifically. But it's so much fun just letting the car do the work and waiting, picking the right moment to just jump on the loud pedal and get moving out of the corner, trying to gain some time.
Well, that was Sam Dicker. I'm just trying to see if he improved his time. Doesn't look like he does on that lap. I mean, Paul Mansell wasn't an out lap before, so that is one thing to keep in mind. Probably tyres still nice and cold. They would have been fresh tyres on, I'd say. The softs are on. Here we go. Edward Mitchell now. Mr. Mitchell up on screen at the moment, coming around, heading down towards that really tight chicane. I'm interested. Yeah, there we go, wide. So that's going out through 17 as they come down, and hard on the brakes here. You don't want to lock it up. It's very easy to overshoot that, and I think that's where we're going to see a lot of people tonight coming through the chicane. They might have to cut that corner now. Will they redress, or will they cop a penalty from race control? We don't know. That's what we're going to have to watch tonight, because there's going to be a few people there that might outbrake themselves, I think. Get a bit too much confidence, and I reckon they're going to go straight through that corner. Peter B is back, the Italian stallion. Good to see him on track. Currently sitting in 16th at the moment, but he's coming around to complete a lap. He's just heads down through that little kink at the 17. Down the back straight. You've got the accent down way better than me, Chris. Way better. I'm going to let you go with that tonight.
On the corner names?
Yeah, the corner names, yeah.
That's good. I absolutely love this track. It's been a favourite of mine since I was a young, much younger person, much younger, enjoying sim racing and racing games and watching all sorts of motorsports action as well. Notably, actually, Daniel Ricciardo, his favourite track as well. He really enjoys this track since his Formula Renault 2-litre days when he got to run here, where he won the championship for the Red Bull Junior program back in the day before he made the step up through Formula Renault 3.5 and then joined with the HRT team. But it's such an awesome track that really, really separates driver skill from the car's ability. Sure, you've got to have a good car, especially in top-end speed, to make it work here. But most of the times, if you can wheel it and you can keep it straight, you can really make most cars work around this track. And it's so much fun to go racing, especially through sections like this. You get tucked into the draft and you spend the whole time just stalking your opponent's mirrors. Just moving a little bit left, show them there, they'll move over and cover you. Move a little bit right, and then you pull out right here, dive on the brakes at as hard as you possibly can, get it checked up to 70 k's an hour, and hope you've done enough to pull them up and get the spot and get the move done before you hit the main straight. It's an awesome track as Craig Spencer makes a run towards La Source.
I think going through that chicane too, you go a little bit off camber, which is going to be hard. I mean, sometimes you see people will give you racing line, so they'll give you a little bit of room, on the, but they will stay on the outside and still... As you go back left again, then people will stay there because then you have to give in to them. But with the off camber, to be out wide is going to be very difficult to get the power back down. So if you can get on that inside line, I think through the chicane, you can probably get the drive to come up and definitely make the next corner.
As long as the car's still not on the inside of you when you turn into the left-hander. Yeah. We've seen that in a lot of E-Series racing recently. It's up on the big screens all around Australia a good almost 12 months ago now, would you believe? When all that was going on and we had the E-Series to watch with some of Australia's best drivers in the real and virtual worlds going at it. And we had some pretty notable moments right at that chicane when they came around, and also at La Source here when they come diving into the hairpin.
What's Mr. Guest got for us tonight? Sebastian Guest out on track at the moment, the BMW M4 this week. He's behind the wheel. He's going to come down. He's not too far away from completing this lap, just going through the Blanchemont down to the chicane. Nice and fast here, just hold it on the edge of the tyres. You don't even have to get off of there, you just know if you unsettle the car, you just got to very lightly lift off the throttle there, just not to excite those tyres too much. Then heavy on the brakes, you see a bit of a squiggle, and that's exactly what can happen when you get a little bit confident there. Very hard in the night time. I think if you've got a car behind you, lighting up a few of the things around you, probably going to be an advantage.
Yeah, it's certainly going to help you when you're heading into the chicane there. The Guesty boys were racing up at Tiger Kart Club yesterday in the club day. I made a stop in the afternoon. They were running a day-night meeting, and I was just overwhelmed by how many people were there. As Shane Newen's going off as he comes off and fires it into the outside wall.
Oh, let's have a look. Let's have a look at that one.
Why not?
Why not? Just don't want to play my graphic.
I'm trying to actually see where on the track we are looking. That's into the left-hander, so I'd say that's through Pujon. Just gets the back end out and fires it into the inside wall on the exit of turn 12 there.
The disco lights are up.
Tough one.
Yeah, here we go. Sam Dicker's still trying to get that number one position. He's only got 45 seconds to do it too. I mean, a bit of rivalry between him and Paul Mansell now in this series. So Sam Dicker, he's probably his last opportunity now. He's got to beat a 2:17.424. He's done a 2:17.74. Can he make it happen? 0.3 of a second. He's just over 0.3. Needs to find it somewhere in the track, and he needs to stay within the limits as well, so he does count as a qualifying lap. He's right down. He's the last car on track to complete a lap, as we see Shane Newen's just going through to complete one. Fitzroy Beaumont as well. Who else
using
is coming
all of the racetrack on the exit of turn 11 there as he came out of Bruxelles. This is down into Pujon. This is really tricky as the track falls away from you. You're heading downhill and trying to maintain the steering lock and really just champion and keep on top of the understeer through this section. Down into Campus. The tight right and left. It's very easy to run wide on the exit of the left-hander here, but he uses all of the rumble strip. Just a lick at the outside line on the inside tire. Keeps it perfectly within bounds. At a Stavelot. Now he's going to open the taps, and it's going to be a wild ride. Look at that, using all the exit. That might have just licked him a couple of incident points there, or it may have invalidated the lap. We'll find out at the end of this one. Is Sam the last car on track, Matty?
Here's the last car I've got going around. There's a couple more, but I think they've gone after the checkered flag has gone. You're thinking the race starts in 2 minutes and 35 seconds, so they've got to finish the lap and reset to get into their position on the grid. Oh, a little bit of a wiggle there from the back of the car as he goes through the chicane. All the ribble strip is used. He's over it. Can he do it? 2:18. He's not going to make it on this one.
No, not going to be good enough there from Sam. That will seat him into second as Paul Mansell sets the hot time once again in the FLATOUT KARTS GT3 E-Series.
Well, let's have a look at our qualifying results. So it's Paul Mansell at the top in a Lamborghini, mind you. Sam Dicker in the BMW, 3/10 behind. Scott Stevens just behind him. Then it's Gianni Letsu just behind in fourth. In fifth position, Craig Spencer makes it in there, so he'll be happy. It's probably his best start of the season, actually. Mason Harvey in six. Then we go back to Fitzroy Beaumont in seven in the Zero Autosports entry. Dylan Guest in eight. Sebastian Guest in nine. And Corey Bennett is your top 10. Let's see where we end up in 11. Kieran Ellis just outside in 11. Eli Tunstall in 12. Justin McLean in 13. Neil Woodburn in 14. Peter B in 15th. Edward Mitchell in 16th. Tyrone Anderson, our beer man, in 17. Justin Cotter in 18. And Shane Ewens in 19th. Looks like that is going to be all of ours run and done. So let's see who's going to make it onto the grid at the moment. We'll have a look down here and see who's sitting around in pit lane at the moment. We're looking for it. We need to make sure everyone's getting out there. It's nice and dark. We don't have a car on track, then we can't see what's going on. Scott Stevens.
I was going to say, why are we looking at darkness? Oh, there we go. We got a little bit there.
It's funny how this wants to find everyone when they start making their way out. So just having a look here as we're about to get underway. There's 1 minute to go to set themselves up on the grid. So we're just waiting for everyone to pan themselves up onto the grid. Can hear it in the background there. They're calling him there. So Paul Mansell is going to lead us out of this one alongside Sam Dicker. The rivalry continues. 1 and 2 in the championship. Sam Dicker got a couple of 100 points to catch up. Almost 300 points in the championship. 289 for a win. But Paul Mansell's going to be there somewhere. He's not going to give him all those points this week, I can tell you that. Just waiting to see. They're all sitting there in pit lane. It looks like we're going to start out of there, are we? Everyone's sitting there waiting for them to regroup onto the track. It's like 21 seconds here, so maybe there is a little bit of downtime before they start to, as some people have jumped out of their car. I can see that up on our timing screen. People starting to head to the main track now. There we go. People will start to head over. There's still a couple of people in pit lane as we have a look around the Circuit de Spa, which is, well, there's not a lot of lighting really, is there, for our broadcast, but there is a little bit out there. We are looking for it. We're going to make that, so that looks like that is done now. We are getting ready to set up. They've got 2 minutes to grid up, so they must put a little bit of time in there, I think, so that they could just set themselves up. Starting to appear on the lane. Now we're going to see it all lit up at night time. This one's going to be a good one. Look at that, the flash of the lights. They start to come onto this main straight.
We're going to see a lot of that during this race, people using the lights, especially when they can be so easily seen at night, just to let someone know that they're coming, they're there, they're either going to be flashing to be let through for a lap potentially, or really just trying to disrupt the driver in front of them. It's a neat little tactic, but everyone uses it, so you just have to be on top of it like everyone else is.
Here we go. Bit of a view of the start. Paul Mansell is getting there, ready to go. Waiting for everyone to come up on our screen at the moment. We've still got a couple of people, looks like third position. Still has to make his way. There's only 55 seconds, so a bit of a countdown here. They've let them have a little bit of time there. Look at them all lined up. It's nice and bright here on the main straight. They're going to go down the La Source. This is going to be so good going this tight right-hand corner. We'll see if they're going to push themselves. They're definitely not going to be able to get 3 wide through there. That's my prediction. If 3 wide, our safety car will be coming early.
Well, yeah, potentially, or even there's going to be a fair few guys using the rumble strip and the runoff there. There is a lot of asphalt to get away with, but you will rack up the incident points, and this race might be one of those ones where we see the first half being decided with incident points, and then those who have them in reserve can push to the finish at the end of this 1 hour race.
So Paul Mansell will lead us out of this one. Sam Dicker alongside. Let's see how it all kicks off. We are only 7 seconds away. The countdown. Wait for the lights to come up. You can hear them revving the engines in the background. They can all hear that. All right. Here we go. Waiting for the green light. The start is underway and we are go. Paul Mansell, we look at the background. People going everywhere now. We're 3 wide. We head down to the first corner. Paul Mansell has to try and cover there too. Very defensive. I'm not quite sure who that was. That might have been Scott Stevens. Oh no, we've got a bit of a spin. Is that Craig Spencer? I hope not. I do want to go back and find him. I'm looking for him on my screen at the moment. Let's head back to a bit of a replay there and see if we can see who that was. This is Craig Spencer I've got on screen at the moment. Yeah, it was. Look at that. Involved in that one too, the 73. But no, it was actually his teammate, I reckon. Who is that?
Yeah, I think Mason Harvey got caught on that one.
Yeah, so Mason Harvey's another one. We'll go back to him. No, he's back in the race. So let's go back live and see how we're going at the moment. They've all sort of reset themselves now, but it's Sam Dicker now in the lead. So do we go back and see if we can go back far enough to see a replay where that may have happened here? No. I might be able to go back a little bit further.
Sam's already in front in that shot.
Oh, yeah. So, no, we're going all the way back there. So, we know something's happened to Paul Mansell there. So, let's go back live there. Sam Dicker now leading this race at the moment.
Well, it was a tough one for Sam because I thought he actually got quite an average start from the line. The BMW seemed to get bogged down quite a lot on the start. I thought he might have got swamped by the field, but he somehow, by some stroke of pure luck, managed to close the gap to Paul Mansell and make a run for the lead on the opening lap as they lead the way down out of Pujon, and they head into turns 13 and 14 at Campus now for the first time in this 1 hour race for the FLATOUT KARTS GT3 E-Series. Matty, this is going to be the battle we will watch all night long. Dicker v Mansell here at Spa-Francorchamps.
Well, I think the biggest battle that Sam Dicker's got is to stay awake. Like we say, it's been a big day, very little sleep, been over some karting championships, had to fly back to Perth today on very little sleep. He's still got in the sim, thrown the VR on. It's going to be interesting to see if he can hold on for this 1 hour race. A lot of concentration, big track here, 7 kilometres at circuit to Spa, and we are only a couple of laps in so far. Paul Mansell will be happy probably to sit behind because he can see the lights in front. You just don't want to get too far under that rear wing. You can go offline. Look, there you go. Sam Dicker just heads out on the chicane, just oversteps a little bit. Paul Mansell can't get an advantage out of that one, really. He had a bit of a go, but couldn't get the drive. There's the flashing light still from Sam Dicker, and Paul Mansell will have to pull back in behind, but right behind him, Scott Stevens, though, all over the back of both of these guys.
Stevens is going to be a real spanner in the works for this one. He had a good run with Sam at Daytona. Of course, they did come together during that safety car restart at the back end of the 1 hour race at the Daytona Road Circuit last time out. But he's got some pace, and at the moment, Paul Mansell is the Lamborghini in the middle of a BMW sandwich out front. Dylan Guess is up to 4 after the opening lap. Kieran Ellis in P5, with Harvey recovering to 6, Eli Tunstall in 7th. Then Sebastian Guess, Corey Bennett and Justin McLean rounding out your top 10 here after just 1 lap of racing, and we have 57 minutes of racing to go.
Yeah, no, as you can see them up on screen now. Let's have a look at how far apart they are. You know, only half a second back to Mansell and then half a second back to Stevens at the moment between them. Keep looking down there. It's starting to open up a little bit of gap down the field. Eli Tunstall's on the back of Mason Harvey, though, which is a bit of a battle there for 6th position. So we'll see how this battle keeps going on. Dylan Guess, though, get him in the 4th. That's a good little start for him, but he's got Kieran Ellis right on the back of him. So you'll have to be very careful there because Ellis is a seasoned driver. He definitely can put the pressure on. You know, we're having a bit of fun with Sam Dicker a bit earlier. They were just playing around on the track. Just trying to see how Craig Spencer has pulled up out of this. He is right back down the field. So he is 1 lap down and he is in pit lane. So I think he may be trying to get some damage fixed there because he is 3 minutes in the pit lane. 3 minutes 30, and Corey Bennett also. So I know that was Corey Bennett caught up in that one before either. So very not good there for the Azura Autosports of Corey Bennett, especially seeing he missed last round. So you do get a drop round in this series. He's now effectively used that by not being here for one of the rounds, so he'll want to try and get back up. But we saw Sam Dicker do this last week. It can be done.
Especially when we have that mandatory safety car during the race. The drivers can kind of bank on that, plan for that, and if they have an issue, as here Dylan Guest goes straight on into the pit lane after chicane. He is taking a pit stop really early. Now, if that's to get himself out of traffic and to get that refuel done pretty quick, he's going to have to take a lot of fuel to get that done. Is our pit window even open at this point?
I don't know if there is a pit window actually open on this race. I did not read that in the regs, but I am not a connoisseur of the regs of this one at the moment.
Neither am I.
I read them quite a few weeks ago, and then we had a little bit of a break, and then we had a little bit more of a break, and then we've jumped straight back into it, and I have not reread the regs, unfortunately, for our viewers at home. But I do believe you can stop early. Looks like, because Dylan Guest only took 31 seconds there in pit lane, so he's only put a dash of fuel in there. I wonder whether it's a 2 pit stop race then, because you've got to remember you are in top gear. The car is going to be chewing a lot of time under acceleration here on this track. A lot more fuel. Maybe it's a 2 pit stop strategy.
Well, we'll have to find out here. I've had the pleasure of being a part of a couple of enduro races at this track. That was mainly using LMP type cars for a 6-hour that ended up being a kind of a 4-hour that had a mandatory restart with 2 hours to go because we had a server drop. But fuel was absolutely critical, and we had guys running on absolute fumes to get to the finish. But they do really use a lot of fuel on this track. They are spending a huge portion of the lap completely, not just in top gear, but absolutely topped out and carrying a lot of speed. The average speed around this track is just phenomenal here at Spa.
Yeah, that's right. It's Paul Mansell now just staying up under the rear wing of Sam Dicker at the moment, maybe just sitting on that draft. And if fuel is so important at this track, it might not be a bad little, might not be against the game plan really there for Paul Mansell. If he can sit under that wing and just do half of this race under the back wing of Sam Dicker, he can conserve a little bit of fuel and maybe get a little bit of an undercut there on one of the pit stops.
Time will tell as we're just under 7 minutes into this one. Dicker and Mansell leading the way, and they're starting to open up a little bit of a gap over Scott Stevens. It sits at 1.3 seconds. Then another 1.7 back to Kieran Ellis in the 4th spot. 1.7 again back to Mason Harvey, rounding out your top 5. The top 5 are pretty tightly packed in, but it's really the top 3 that are in with a shout at the moment as Paul Mansell spending his time just shadowing the back of Sam Dicker.
Yeah, under lights, it just looks like that front wheel locks up, but I don't think it is. Sebastian Guest now looks like he has just taken a position. Has he lost a position there? Gianni is in front, just going back to 7th. So Gianni has actually made a move there, moving back up the field there, moved a couple back on the restart. Everyone trying to get around that little first lap incident that we had. And Sebastian Guest just pulls back in, tucks up under that rear wing. So it looks like Gianni will move into 7th in the Audi, the BMW there. Sebastian Guest right behind. We follow him around, he's getting there, flashing the lights, letting him know he's still there. And just behind Justin McLean is in 9th position, just in the background. Gianni has to be a little bit defensive this time.
Does a tidy job of it, keeps it all together as they head up through 7, 8 and 9. And they crest the hill and make the run down towards Brussels. Very tight on the entry there, and you'll see him, he'll hug the curb all the way around. Run it out, not quite using all the rumble strip because you really got to open up the corner here at turn 11. It's 90 degrees, but it kind of kinks back around and you've got to be back on the steering lock going the other way to set yourself up for turn 12. Downhill, managing the understeer, and you really are just playing with the steering and throttle inputs to manage the understeer through Brujon at 12. Before you settle in, this is a corner that's really easy to lock up and run yourself a little bit too wide here at 13 at Campus. It really wrecks your run through 14, 15, and then hurts you all the way from 16 to the chicane. It's a very important part of the lap as Gianni Lutsu makes his way out of... There we go.
No, you're right. He's opened up a little bit of a gap now, isn't he? He's really starting to pull away from Sebastian Guest. So that's good to see. Fitzroy Beaumont was a fair bit higher up after qualifying, so The Zero Auto Sports car hasn't been in for a pit yet. Dylan Guest has, 31 seconds. Corey Bennett, I'll just check out exactly where he is down there and see whether maybe that was him involved in that first corner incident, which we said probably was going to happen on the La Source if we went 3 wide into there, and unfortunately someone came together. So Corey Bennett's just at the back here. He did a minute 23 in the pit, so I'm quite surprised. 59 seconds in the actual box itself. So very interesting to see him take so much time. Maybe some repairs underway if he got entangled in that. Craig Spencer is even further back, and Edward Mitchell as well. So that's Craig Spencer just doing some laps on his own right there in 18th, and in 19th, Edward Mitchell now just getting around. Looks like there might be some lap cars coming up to him too in the background there. I'm just having a look where he is, and that's Sam Dicker right behind him, I can tell you. That's the lights of Sam Dicker in the background there, and Paul Mansell. How many lights do these Lamborghinis have of Paul Mansell? You reckon he's put a light bar on that?
They are well and truly lit up here to get going. It's good because they can really light up the night circuits with that car, and that just could be the little advantage that you need. Despite the LED daytime running lights on the front end of the BMW, I think they ran out of real estate to put a light bar because they really wanted to fit the nostrils into the bumper. And you know, every series of BMW that's come out, every time they make a new one, they just try and make the nostrils 30% bigger. They're quickly running out of space for everything else on the front end of that car.
Yeah, Paul Mansell is pushing that curve, using a little bit more out of track there, but looks like the Lambo is nice and settled there behind the BMW, and I think it may be a strategy here just to sit him behind Sam Dicker for a period of time. He would have overheard the conversation. He knows he's tired. He's got to do concentration now for an hour straight. And as he puts a nose in, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's not a strategy. Just waiting for the right moment, just shows it there, but he's got plenty of time to tuck back in behind. We've just under 49 minutes left in this 1 hour race. We think we're going to get about 24 laps here. We think. We'll find out. We're 5 laps in at the moment.
We got a long, long way to go yet. These guys don't want to bring each other unstuck so early in the race. Although it is a common belief that if you're going to have an issue, you want to have it early because then you have more time to make up the disadvantage and catch back up. But is Sam very tight under brakes into the chicane there as they both go all the way around. These guys they're playing a championship game. They want to be winning. They are playing some strategy. But at the end of the day, we go sim racing because we love racing. And at the moment, I think Paul Mansell is just really enjoying showing a set of headlights up the inside of Sam Dicker, trying to unsettle him and really play the game and see if he can put on a race here.
No, I think you're right there. I know he does not like to just go out in front and dominate a series. He likes to actually have plenty of people to race him. He'll be enjoying this at the moment. But when it comes to championship, he knows he doesn't need to push it. Whoa, who's that in the background? They both get through. I'm just trying to figure out who that may be. Oh, that's Edward Mitchell. Let's see if we can go back far enough to find out what happened here. Oh, just does it to himself. And there you go.
Eau Rouge got him.
Oh, look how close that was. Wow. Mansell outside. Wow, that was super close, wasn't it?
That was great work, though, from Edward, not to let the car roll anymore, not to go forward or back. That's the number one thing when they teach you when you're first learning in a race car is if you do spin, jump on the brakes and leave the car where it lies if there's oncoming traffic, because the last thing you want to do is create a moving target that other guys have to try and avoid there. It's like when you're racing on an oval. As soon as there's a crash, everyone knows to go up top because cars roll downhill. So they're always going to go to the bottom eventually, and you can have a higher percentage or higher chance of avoiding the crash if you go up to the top line and carry it on through. But great driving from not only Sam and Paul there, but also from Edward for keeping it stationary and letting them get around.
Yeah, Scott Stevens had a little bit more time to see what was going on. But you think of the night, how dark it is, you can see out there on screen. You come around a corner, it'd be like seeing a deer in the headlights, wouldn't it? All of a sudden, there's this bright livery, and you just got to pick where you're going. And he was right in the middle of the track. Paul Mansell, that Lamborghini looks really wide. He dropped the wheel off on the grass, but luckily the car didn't get too unstable. I reckon he just rolled off the throttle there to make sure he didn't excite the tyres and managed to get through as well to keep that fight alive for 1 and 2, Sam Dicker and Paul Mansell, and there's nothing in it, only 0.4 of a second. But we've been watching them all race, so let's have a look at some of the other people out there. Fitzroy Beaumont in 10th. He was a little bit closer to the person in front a little bit earlier, but it looks like they've just dropped off there. But good to see the Azura Autosports boys back. And Corey Bennett not having the night he wanted, but he's in 17th at the moment. But let's hope those guys can work together with their pit stop strategy and maybe see them get back in. It's Peter B just behind him, the Italian Stallion, and hasn't he improved in this series? Because, you know, at the start of the series, he was running more predominantly down the back of the pack, and we have seen some big fields of 30-plus cars, but tonight a little bit smaller field, a little bit more room for him, and Peter B must be doing some big hours on the sim because his improvement is remarkable this week.
Yeah, he's really doing well. I wanted to just add in there, the next time Sam and Paul get themselves onto a straight where they can one-hand the car, they might just lift their backside up and pull the pinch marks out for a second and try and relax after that one. That was pretty scary, but great to see Peter B up there, and with a couple of cars moving into pit lane right there. That moves him up into P9 in this race so far. We are 1/4 of the way in, 15 minutes done, and we're already seeing some main guys come into pit lane.
Yeah, a couple of them going in there, which we can see. Sebastian Guest is in there. Mason Harvey's just gone in there. Eli Tunstall's gone in as well. Interesting. We think we possibly are going to have 2 pit stops on this one because we are only 15 minutes into this race, 7 kilometres, but lots of high speed drive and lots of top gear, full throttle around many of these corners. So there's going to be a lot of fuel consumption.
We've seen before in the earlier rounds as well that even with a single stop race for 1 hour, guys are really managing fuel and trying to maintain position and go long on the fuel stops in those races, let alone coming to a track where it's predominantly full throttle. I don't think there's an advantage to managing fuel on a track that is so high speed because you really rob yourself of the top end quite a lot. So I think the main strategy might have been exactly what we talked about here, Matty, is to go 2 stops and let the car run out. The big telltale is going to be, when do these guys come into pit lane?
Yeah, do they follow each other, or does Paul go in early and try and undercut, or does Sam decide to go in and Paul says, no, mate, I've got plenty in the tank, I'll stay out. I really like watching these guys go chicane as Sam goes wide again. Paul Mansell comes round. This is what we were talking about earlier. It's going to be a drag race down the main straight now. What's it going to be? The Lambo is in front, and Sam Dicker will have to give that position up, stay behind, but Mansell now has to get defensive down the inside line. Oh, the BMW is all over the mirrors of that wide Lamborghini, isn't he?
And Dicker was really struggling to get on power. Then you could see the car twitch around as he opened up the right foot, and that gave away about a half a car length or so. So Paul Mansell now leading the way here at the turn of the 1/4 race distance mark with 43 minutes and 20 to go. As they hit the Camel straight on this lap, they are... How many laps have we completed here? Can't even see.
We are 8 laps in. We've done 8 laps so far for our leaders.
There we go.
We do have some guys who are a lap down at the moment. So 8 laps in, and we will find out exactly what is going to happen in this race in 43 minutes. So we're only 1/4 of the way through, and Sam Dicker does not like relinquishing that position number 1. He likes to lead. He likes to be out in front. But Paul Mansell, going to be interesting whether he can sort of get a little bit of a gap. It looks like he's a lot tidier through the corner sections of this track. However, down the big long straights, it seems that the BMW has a little bit of speed advantage. As you go, Sam Dick goes a little bit wide. Maybe that's what Sam doesn't like. Maybe it is really hard to see when the car is in front of you, which is what I spoke about earlier. You miss your braking marks, and you've only got to miss them by the slightest amount, as we see the glow of the brakes there for the BMW.
You could really see Sam had the legs at the end of the Camel straight there. He showed a nose up the inside of Mansell. Might have had the advantage of a little bit of toe there. There's a couple of touches of the brake as he goes through the left-hander at Campus, turn 14 on the run towards Stavelot. I see Mansell was a little bit wide there. He's weaving on that short straight between 15 and 16. Dicker is a little bit quicker, and he's bringing down the time. He is closing as they make the run towards turn 17 at Blanchemont. 5.8 tenths of a second as Sam Dicker is on the hunt, getting the remnants of the toe off the back of a Lamborghini that doesn't punch the biggest hole in the air, as Mansell uses all the rumble strip as they dive onto the brakes here into the chicane. He brought that down a little bit, and now the gap goes back out to 7 tenths of a second. Both of them into pit lane.
I don't know if Sam was going to go in then. He has touched the wall too with that. He has given that a little bit of a nudge. I reckon, I'm not going to go to the replay, but he has nudged the wall pulling in there. And Scott Stevens also behind him. So all 3 leaders, 1, 2, and 3 are in the pits now.
Wow.
This is going to be interesting. I look back though, there was some big movement back here, and I'm just trying to see where it is. There was a bit of rivalry going on here, and the times were not far apart, and it was Eli Tunstall and Justin McLean. Eli Tunstall just in front. They were down to just a couple of tenths of a second. And it looks like they're going to stay together as well as we move forward to the lead car, the FLATOUT Karts. BMW M4, they've all gone over to the BMWs now. So Eli Tunstall just leading Justin McLean at the moment, but the big talk is the pit lane. Paul Mansell's in there. Fitzroy Beaumont has taken over the lead of this race now. He's not the effective race leader, but he has taken over the lead as he completes another lap, lap number 9. Paul Mansell in the pits, and this is what I was saying is, oh, they're starting to come out. Let's have a look at how this is going to go. They are leaving pit exit. Paul Mansell gets out first, Sam Dicker behind, and Scott Stevens.
They are even. There's even gaps between them. That is awesome.
So when I look at the box times here, we look at Paul Mansell 30.1 seconds, Sam Dicker 30.9, Scott Stevens 28.9 seconds in the box.
Yeah, I don't know if that's enough fuel to get them to the finish. I'm thinking we're looking at a two-stopper.
I think we're looking at a two-stopper as well.
Because that's similar. That's similar stop times to what we've seen on previous tracks, but they've pitted like 10 minutes later.
Yes, and that's what will be interesting to see if we can, you know, where you do the splash and dash, at what point do you do that? And that's where we see some of the people down the field, like Craig Spencer had to take a lot of damage, but we saw Gianni's already been in. A couple other people went in early as well. I just wonder whether maybe they decided, hey, you know what? We are going to pit early and see what happens. Fitzroy Beaumont hasn't taken the pitch yet, who is actually leading this race at the moment. He can't be too far off a pit stop. But Corey Bennett went in early. I think he took a little bit of damage on that one too. Sebastian Guest went in a couple of laps ago. Edward Mitchell went in. I think he had some damage as well, judging by the amount of time they spent in there. Unless they got their crew chief wrong. If you don't set your crew chief up right, you could take a little bit too much.
Well, I was going to ask, are we running damage at this round?
I didn't think we were running damage. I thought we were just running incident points, which then leads to a penalty at the end of it. So
it could be a strategy play on some of these guys' half, going in very early in the run and getting that stop, and they'll have to really put extra fuel in to stop at the halfway mark or around 35 minutes.
Look at Paul Mansell, though. He's streaking away now. To the end. What's going on with this? He's 2.7 seconds in front now. Sam Dicker is just backed off.
Neither of them took tyres. Mansell is just bolting on the pit stop here. We're going to keep in mind as well, there is a competition caution at some point in this race. We are not sure when, but we will see a safety car. We've got a long way to go yet before we expect that one to really spice the race up.
Yeah, that's going to spice things up. Maybe they're thinking about that now. Mind you, Scott Stevens putting all the pressure onto Sam Dicker now. He could, it's Fitzroy Beaumont in the pit, so he will go back to his effective position once he's done his pit stop. Gianni goes back into 4th. Fitzroy Beaumont just going down. He was about 10th position earlier. Just listening to race control to find out what is going on and how they're looking. The Sam Dicker, the FLATOUT Karts entry now, not on the back of Paul Mansell, that 2.7 second gap. Maybe he's just letting the tyres warm up, not wanting to take that risk. Scott Stevens right behind him. And he followed him into the pits as well. Paul Mansell came into the pits. I think it surprised Sam Dicker a little bit. He might have been expecting it a little bit, but he came in a late turn and just brushed the wall on the entry to the pit lane.
By the reckoning, though, there was a bit of chat in the group before we got started during the practice session. Some of the guys were talking about how they approach the pit lane, and they're saying there was one guy saying, send it as hard as he can into the pit lane, tag the wall, gain a couple of incident points, but he could gain some serious time just on the way into the pit lane, and that will help him. And he believed that was the advantage to help him during the race. So we may see that. We may have seen Sam just brushing the wall, just going, you know what, if I touch it and I get an incident point, it's okay because it's worth it in the time payoff.
Yeah, that's right. It is definitely worth it in the time payoff as we stay on board. Scott Stevens looks like he's not going to be able to make a move. He's not quite close enough to Sam Dicker. I was having a look a little bit earlier. Justin McLean and Dylan Guest are keeping the fight alive back here for 10th position at the moment. Fitzroy Beaumont slotted back in 8th. Just trying to see if that is Peter B. They're just hanging off the back in 12th position. So he is not too far behind either. Peter B, the Italian stallion. It's not the car you can see in the background though. That's Justin McLean on screen. Dylan Guest just behind him. Corey Bennett's another one who's made his way back up to 13th position after that start. So that's a nice little improvement there from Corey Bennett. And with the impending safety car probably going to come out, I do believe this will benefit Corey Bennett. He's going to have to maybe be very strategic in that. I'm just having a look at how many times. He's only been to the pit lane once, which was very early on. Whether he can get another pit in before the safety car, whether he's far enough in the lead that he won't go a lap down. He's going to have to play this one out, I think.
Still a lot of racing left to do here. 35.5 minutes left on the clock here for the FLATOUT KARTS GT3 E-Series at Spa-Francorchamps. There's Corey Bennett in 13th on screen at the moment. Just keeping an eye on the interval out front. 2.7 seconds for Paul Mansell with Sam Dicker. Another 7.5 tenths now, pushing out to 8 tenths plus back to Scott Stevens. Gianni Lutsu, 6.5 seconds further back in P4 and 5.1 further back again to Kieran Ellis. So it's really on at the moment for this top three as we find Sam on camera. We go back to Gianni, just absolutely ragging the back of the Audi, trying to push as hard as he can as he comes down on the brakes into a long right-hand corner. I believe that's at Brussels as he fires back across the racetrack and gets set up for turn 10. Sorry, turn 11, down the hill into Puhan at turn 12. Gianni really put on a show for us a couple of rounds ago. I believe it was at Watkins Glen, making a run for the podium at that round. And he's had a little trouble at recent rounds with a mechanical failure on his sim rig, of all things. But the West Australian Formula 1000 driver for Arise Racing jumping into the FSR Championship here at Wanneroo Raceway for 2021. And has been putting in a lot of time on the sims for a really young guy as well. I think he's in his late teens, really starting to show his way in local motorsport for someone who hasn't really spent a whole bunch of time in karting.
You know, definitely impressive. Been following on the social media as well. He's going to be one to watch in the future when it comes to all sorts of racing. I don't care whether it's sim at the track, and I think he's going to be open to a lot of different categories of racing as well. Sedans, go-karts, you know, open wheelers. He's going to be fantastic in everything. He's definitely got the talent there, as it looks like Corey Bennett has just gone up another position, in 12th position now, so he makes that up. Peter B drops back one. I'm just trying to see. No, he's not in the pits. I'm trying to see where Peter B's ended up. Maybe he has gone off track or something, I think, a little bit earlier. Justin McLean and Dylan Guest have still got this little battle going on here for 10th position at the moment. There's not much in that, just a few tenths of a second.
It's a tight one. I love the moody feel that comes from just seeing the headlights in the darkness here. It's really moody, and it reminds me of the early hours of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, where that's all you see. You just see that, and you see the LED number panel as they go past, and then you wait for the next cars to come.
Well, this one's very interesting. Justin McLean will go through into 9. Is he going to move? Done there, actually, on Neil Woodburn. So Neil Woodburn's going to split him and Dylan Guest. So a bit of a reprieve there. Dylan Guest now off the back, but Neil Woodburn's not going to give this one up now. He's going to tuck back under that wing as they take a bit of curb. Slightly different racing lines here, aren't they? Flash of the lights now from Dylan Guest. He wants Neil Woodburn out of the way, but Neil's not going to give it up. Why would you? You got to race. There's a little bit of defensive there, just covers the line. So does Justin McLean and the lead of this one too. We are lighting up the entire track. 3 cars wide almost as they come down. Just trying to see where they are on track at the moment. It looks like they're
on the run
around
towards 10.
Yeah, they're on the run towards 10. That's right.
I love this section of the racetrack. The elevation change is just phenomenal on how far up the hill you go and then how quickly you come down. And how much torque you put on the right front tyre through this part of the track is phenomenal in any car you drive.
So we've got a nice little battle now for 9th position going on. So it's Justin McLean, Neil Woodburn and Dylan Guest. If you just joined us here on the GT3 FLATOUT KARTS E-Series, we are at round number 6, Circuit de Spa. I want to say Circuit de France. I don't know what it is. Circuit de Spa it is. Round number 6. Paul Mansell is leading the race at the moment. He is your championship leader as well, followed by the number 2 in the championship, Sam Dicker. So the battle is still going on, and that is blown out to 3.5 seconds. So Sam Dicker is just backing off there. Scott Stevens just behind him. Don't know what Paul Mansell did in the pits. Took on some E85, I think, instead of the 98. Maybe.
Just opened up a little bit more power, you reckon? I reckon he's been playing with us all practice.
Mothballs in the fuel, isn't that what you do? Increase the octane a little bit?
Bit of nitroglycerin helps sometimes too.
Don't know what he's done, but the impending safety car, we know there's going to be a safety caution at some point. The car will come out and we'll do a number of laps under caution there, which will mean that lead will diminish for Paul Mansell. He's going to have to watch that one, whether he tries to. We don't believe they're going to get home on this tank of fuel. We think they are going to have to stop again. Us up here in the commentary box, that's our belief. We don't have a Neil Crompton out there to tell us. That's what we don't have.
We need a Larko, mate.
A Larko, yeah.
We need a Larko.
We need a Larko. I've got a Larko in training. When it comes to some other stuff, I should have got him on here today just to give us one little rundown.
I'm doing a little bit of Larko stuff, but it's mainly with nitromethane and blowers.
Yeah, it's a bit different when you're talking lots of track work, isn't it? Lap after lap, knowing the fuel strategies. Those guys fill them up and go. They only have a tank big enough to get them down the track.
Yeah, how much fuel do you use? Just a drum. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, how many passes?
47 litres a minute. You know what it's like.
Yeah, how many passes are you doing? One. But I'd do a burnout first.
Yeah, the engine does 1,000 turns. Yeah. That's it.
So Paul Mansell still leading this one in the Injectors Online Lambo. And of course, if you want to go online, that's where you can order your injectors.
Amazing.
Amazing.
So seamless.
Says it all in the name, doesn't it? Injectors Online. And he's got a bit of a livery on tonight. And we did speak early and say a big happy birthday to Mark Peck, who's not racing tonight. He's obviously had to bow down to family commitments, unlike him. He's got a big happy birthday on the top of that car, actually. I saw that on social media today, and we cannot see it here at night time. That is the disappointing part. I can try. You want me to try one time and see if we can get it?
We've got to give it a go. We've got to keep it up.
It's not going to be there, I think.
From the chopper cam. That's going to be hard.
Oh, maybe on the rear chase we can have a look.
Wait for it here, because we go under the lights here.
It'll be on the front of that roof. Oh, there you go, the Pecky. Oh, you can just see the Pecky symbol coming out behind the windscreen banner when we go under some lights. The big happy birthday to Mark Peck, who's not racing tonight because, well, he's just got old and soft.
He's probably enjoying a can or five. I would on my birthday too.
Oh, mate, I seen a photo of him today sitting in his gym. He's got the smallest steering wheel known to man, I think just because he wants to look massive. He has a small steering wheel, makes him his arms look bigger. It's like a child steering wheel, I can tell you. A little Logitech on there.
There's some great mods available for the Logitechs as well. It's going to be interesting to see. We should run a bit of a poll with our competitors and see what kind of gear they're running on their rigs. With a fair few West Aussies in the field, I'd say there'd be a couple of racecraft rigs in there. Geez, that name gets around a lot, but there's so much different products on the market and different levels of sim rigs that you can go for. It'd be really interesting to see who's using what. I know a couple of our guys, like Sam's in VR, Eli Tunstall was on screens. I know Gianni is on screens, and he's using, I think, as a SimCube wheel setup on his machine.
Tyrone Anderson went really wide there. This is about, oh, no, and I think he turns him around too. I am going to go to this one, and I'm going to go on to Tyrone Anderson. Let's see if we can get a nose one on this one.
Yeah, that's for sure being a touch. How wide is he? Well, you can tell he wanted the spot, and he's gone, oh, I'm not getting it. Bam.
Couldn't make that any bigger for race control, could we? We are not doing him any favours.
No, definitely not. We got a good view of the brake rotor for just a split second, though.
Yeah, we did get a good view of that one. Shane Ewens is at the back of the pack at the moment in 19th, but he's still out there doing some laps. He's one lap down. Good to see the Australian. He is doing so many series at the moment. That's one thing. He is doing a lot of different series, Shane Ewens. He's getting in and out of different cars, supercars, GT3. What else did I see him doing the other day? He was doing like a Bitumen Speedway, it was like a Daytona Speedway in some American car. But Paul Mansell's actually been doing the liveries for him. So they've actually had the Paul's Iced Coffee there, which if you're a Territorian, you understand what a Paul's Iced Coffee is, as the yellow flag comes out. So safety caution.
Oh, this will throw the cat amongst pigeons. This will really tell us now whether we're looking at going for a two-stop race, because with the likes of Paul Mansell and Sam Dicker just catching on where they're coming out of. They're on the Camel Straight, I believe.
Yeah, so they're already coming around to start a fresh lap. So the safety car won't be out in front of them, I wouldn't think. I think they're going to have to complete this lap before they run into the safety car.
They're going to be really stuck. If they're going for a 2-stop race, the time to go in the pits is right now, if you're lucky enough to find yourself arriving at the chicane knowing that the safety car is coming out, because you can earn yourself potentially a free stop.
Yes.
But with these guys having to do a full extra lap just to get around, I know this safety car hangs around for a good 3 or 4 laps in this sequence, as we're 25.5 minutes left to run in this round of the FLATOUT KARTS GT3 E-Series. This is going to be really interesting, and this will tell us a story about where we're at with fuel.
Well, we are 15 laps into this race here at Spa, round number 6 of the FLATOUT KARTS GT3 E-Series. And we've got 25 minutes left with the safety car just deployed. So the safety car will come out in front of Paul Mansell there. Hopefully, our race control will be giving some of our cars that are a lap down maybe a wave around. So Craig Spencer, Edward Mitchell and Shane Newlands are a lap down. It will be good to see them get a chance to get back on that flying lap. Sam Dicker now will close that gap up. It was out to about 3.5 seconds there. At one point, Paul Mansell had the lead as he's just cruising around now. I'm not quite sure who that is beside him, but they'll be waiting for the wave around. They might have to wait for the safety car for that one, though. That is car number 17 by the looks of it. Have I got that one
That's
right?
a car in 17th place at the moment. That's their current position showing on the windscreen.
Oh, is it? Yes, okay. So in 17th place, which is Craig Spencer. Oh, he'll be keen to get that lap back. He'll know he's the leader.
Yeah, he's really waiting for it.
Paul Mansell
Just has to wait for the safety car and wait for the instructions, doesn't he?
Well, maybe he hasn't realised that. Maybe he's on a bit of a battle there with Paul Mansell. Strategically, you could let him go. I mean, Paul Mansell may be trying to also stay in front, because if they don't give him the wave around, the more cars between him and Sam Dicker, the less chance Sam will have. Because it does seem, there we go, safety car deployed out of pit lane. But what it does seem is that the BMW has a lot more acceleration than the Lambo, especially coming down the main straight. The good thing for Paul will be is he will now have control of the restart of this race.
What was interesting to see is lack of pit lane activity. Didn't see Paul Mansell going into the pit lane there, which would have been prime time to go in. If we're looking at a 2-stop strategy, we might be going for a 1-stopper.
Safety car can do that, conserve fuel. Don't know what the strategy was for Sam Dicker. Paul Mansell definitely did not lay off the gas. He was into it the whole way, but maybe he can get home. He would have done plenty of research on this one. No, he does a lot of 12-hour and 24-hour races with guys he teamed up with from all over the place. So maybe he knows that he can get home on this tank of fuel. That's why he held out. They came in at about 15-minute mark, though, wasn't it? It was about 15 minutes into the race. 44 minutes. Maybe they can get home on that, especially with the safety car now. We know we're going to do at least 3 laps under safety car. That is a lot of fuel conservation.
It just seems not possible to be able to go that far on fuel, but be interested to see is they're going to spend a few laps behind the safety car here, Matty. We're going to have a fair old time behind the safety car. I reckon we're not going to be set to resume until about 15 minutes to go, and then it's going to be a real hard sprint to the finish here at Spa-Francorchamps. And we have an opportunity to see Kieran Ellis's livery now.
Yeah, we should go down there and actually find him, because he's in 5th position at the moment, and let's have a look and see. There's a little bit more light. Maybe we can go around the car. Maybe I'll try a bit more for you and see if we can get a little bit closer and just see whether we can get a better view of the livery that he's promised us. Let's say Merry Christmas. I think we're a bit past that, mate.
Yeah, I think it does say Merry Christmas.
I'm sure that says Merry Christmas. What's he got on the front? Not lit up as well.
It's got candy canes.
A little bit of anime on the right-hand side. I can see that at the bonnet. Can we see much here? No, it's definitely a Christmas livery. Has he uploaded the wrong one into Trading Paints? God knows what he's done. So we're under competition caution at the moment. If you just joined us here on the broadcast of the FLATOUT KARTS GT3 series, all thanks to Medicab Media. I also need to thank all the sponsors of the series, Arise Racing, Sam Dicker Motorsport, and of course Direct Industries. And check out FLATOUT KARTS if you want to get into your karting, because they have had some great looking karts that they're building at the moment. They just seem to be building like heaps of them.
Yeah, they were cranking out karts last week. They've been over in Ipswich for the Australian Kart Championship over the weekend, and Sam and Eli Tunstall, I believe, were over there with Noah and Cooper Lyle campaigning them. Cooper and Noah both running in KA4, and Noah was also running in KA2. Now, the KA2 class, mind you, is a phenomenal class, and I'm stoked that we're actually starting to get it happening here on the Western Seaboard. It's basically huge power, no clutch to save you on quite a hard tyre, and it's really, really the next step in bringing out those advanced drivers and what you view as like the professional kind of category when we get to karting, especially on a state level, what we're starting to see come out here. But they were overrunning at Ipswich for the Australian Kart Championship. There was something like 270 entries, and that's not counting any Victorians because they were all locked out of the state.
Well, I just heard some crashing in the background. I don't know who that is rubbing a few pads. One thing we did miss, though, the latter part of that race just before we went to safety car, is that Gianni Lutzu has moved into third position over Scott Stevens, so maybe a little bit of a mistake there from Scott Stevens. It's unfortunate. If you're just joining us,
starting to find his feet.
Don't forget you can comment here on our live stream. Kevin Norman, go Sam, so he's not racing tonight. So apparently Neil Woodburn has completely upgraded his hardware so he doesn't get disconnected tonight. Oh, we don't want the net code. Oh, go the boys, Christian. Yes, so there's a few guys missing tonight actually, and they seem to be commenting, so it's good they're watching us out there. Jaden Pierce, I need tips from the Bundy pole sitter, eh? Bunbury pole sitter.
Jaden Pierce needs to comment a photo of his latest pair of pit vipers.
Oh, it's good to see the comments are still coming in. So just send us your comments if you want. If you watch us on the live stream, it doesn't matter whether you're on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook. All the comments come through, and we'll start reading them. It's good to put them up on screen actually and have a bit of a look at them so everyone can have a bit of a laugh with us. I'm sure you're watching them at home. Go Sam. Well, this is his opportunity now. He's right on the back of Paul Mansell. The gap had opened up to 3.5 seconds, and this is the fight in the championship at the moment.
Given we've just started another lap onto the safety car, we're at 18 minutes 55. What's the lap taking behind the safety car? It says 2 minutes 30, but that wasn't right. That's certainly not right.
This is Shane Ewens. He got a wave around, so he's coming up on the back, and he is only a couple of corners now as he goes through the Rouge. So he'll be trying to come up on the back of this pack as well. See if he can get around before this restart. He definitely should have time now as he's under full power. Paul Mansell will have control of the restart. I reckon that's going to be on this lap. So we're doing 4 minutes 16 was the last one around here for Paul Mansell.
Ah, good. I'm glad you could tell me. I'm trying to reload my timing screen, but my my hardware doesn't want to play ball here.
That happens sometimes.
4 minutes.
That's all right. We'll look after you.
That puts us at 14 minutes of a sprint if they go green on this lap. If they go another lap, it's like a 10-minute sprint race to the finish. That's going to be super tight.
Yeah, I think the safety car came out the last possible opportunity. Don't think it could have come much later than this one. But the wave arounds happen. We're all back on to the lead lap by the looks of it. Lap number 17 at the moment. We predicted 24. They're warming the tyres up. That gives me an indication that they are expecting to go green on this one. Does the safety car pull away? Paul Mansell, what does he do? Does he go into the chicane in full speed? Because he has been rather good through there. His line has probably dominated over Sam Dicker, who's run that wide a few times under the pressure. So what does Paul Mansell do? Oh, that's a good sign. What does Paul Mansell do? Does he slow this field down? Does he make it a drag race down to the La Source as they come out of the chicane, or does he get into it early? Is it the Blanchmont where he gets under acceleration? Heading back down.
He's going to have to wait and really let that safety car get away now, and he's probably wasting a bit of an opportunity here as they're coming out of turns 14. This is where he's got to let that safety car get away and open up a gap.
Yeah, everyone else warming the tyres up. Paul Mansell is not. Maybe he's conserving tyre wear at this point. We know he stretched his legs away from Sam Dicker before. We were worried that maybe Sam had decided, hey, I'm going to conserve some fuel and wait for a safety car. Scott Stevens has gone in and grabbed, has he? I'm having a look, or has he gone? Whereas Scott Stevens has gone back to 17th. I'm just trying to see if he's done a pit stop. He actually took a pit. So
he's done 2 stops.
Scott Stevens took a pit stop that time.
The same for Craig Spencer. He had 2, but he stopped very, very early in the run. Other 2 stoppers, Dylan Guest here in 10.
Yes.
They are the only guys who have taken 2 stops.
That is interesting, isn't it?
It is. We'll see how it plays out. Can Scott Stevens make a charge through the field here in 15 minutes to get towards the pointy end again? Does everyone else have to pit yet? And if they have, why haven't they gone under the safety car conditions?
Remembering Scott Stevens was about 3 or 4 seconds quicker than these two before, as Sam Dicker gives Paul Mansell a shunt from behind. Paul Mansell then slows him right down, puts the brakes on and takes off. Well, I suppose, you know, if you're going to get a shunt from behind, you're going to play it to your advantage so you can get the run down the main straight, and we are back underway. Green flags are up. The race has 15.5 minutes left to go. Roughly, we're doing about 2 minutes 20 a lap. So what are we going to get in? About 7 laps in this race left to go.
It's going to be an absolute sprint as Sam Dicker is on the flashing lights already, trying to upset the rear vision mirror here of Paul Mansell out front as they make the run out of Radion and Eau Rouge all the way up Kemmel Straight, opening up the taps. This is where the BMW has the straight line speed advantage. You can see behind Gianni Lutsu on the defensive from a hard charging Kieran Ellis at the moment. Onto the brakes, into Combs. Lutsu and Ellis stay where they are, 3rd and 4th, further behind Mason Harvey and P5s. They come out of Combs at turn 9, down the hill over the crest here, into turn 10 at Brussels. This is where if you're too impatient with the throttle, you can really hurt your lap. This is where the Audi would actually be a really good car in this portion of lap. It's got great corner speed rotation.
Yeah, and
really
Craig
neutral.
Spencer found that out earlier, and turn number 1, he got some great rotation in the Audi. Turn number 1, we'll wait for the officials to see. Gianni Lutsu is in an Audi, so he's doing really well to push himself up into 3rd now. He did quite well in qualifying. In practice, he was actually the fastest car out there. But I always think Sam Dicker and Paul Mansell maybe hold a little bit back in practice. Just wait that moment. They're just
You don't want to show your cards.
That's right, not showing your cards. And Gianni's right up on the back of Sam Dicker now, and Paul Mansell has opened that gap up again. We're just having a look there. It's almost out to 1 second, whereas Gianni's only like less than 3/10 off the back of Sam Dicker. Now there's something going on here for what is 4th place as well, by the looks of it. Oh, Gianni Lutsu is going to make a move. He's gone into 2nd. Look at this one. Sam Dicker's going to stay on the inside, though. No, Gianni's got this done. Nice
Great
move.
run there.
Do you think maybe Sam hasn't put enough fuel in this week?
It could be. He was, what was their pit stop times here? So he was actually in the lane a little bit longer than Paul Mansell was, but he could be just pushing a little bit too much on the racing laps and not getting as much of an aerodynamic tow from Paul Mansell, and that could have hurt him here. We'll see how it pans out. 13 minutes and 15 to go as they hit La Source under racing conditions. On the way down, what was the old pit lane, the old starting grid, still used in some categories of racing, and a separate pit lane here, as we see on many of these Formula 1 revamped circuits, as Gianni takes a much different line into Radion and Eau Rouge and chops the end of the corner off. That'll earn him an incident point or 2.
Yeah, I don't know if that'll be enough to see there, 'cause there wasn't a move on from Sam Dicker. It's not like he's got to redress or anything. Though, under brakes though, Sam's going to put the nose. Just puts the lights in the side mirror, says, hey, I'm still here, don't make a mistake, because I am coming through if you do. Isn't it funny, Gianni opened up a little bit of a gap there at some point in the Audi, and now Sam has closed that gap back up. Like we say, the BMW seem to be quite fast down the main straight, which probably means they're a little bit thirstier on the fuel as well, would be my assumption. Oh, loose there for Sam Dicker, you can see him, excites the tyres in the rear. Gianni nice and smooth through there. Paul Mansell.
Really easy to get too hungry on the throttle on the exit of that hairpin. It's kind of off camber. You've still got a lot of lock on because you're trying to bring the car back across the racetrack to set you up for turn 11 nice and early. Very easy just to buzz the tyres and hurt your momentum. You see that there. There's 2-3 car lengths he's given up on Gianni now.
Kieran Ellis back in 4th position has a little bit of a lead, only a slight one there, but we go back to Mason Harvey and Fitzroy Beaumont here. Look at him putting the pressure on the Azura Autosports Ferrari. On board now, you can see how close he is to Mason Harvey in 5th position, just in front. This will be a good finish here for Fitzroy Beaumont. He's had quite a number of top 5. He's sort of been hovering around that top 5 mark, hasn't he, through most of the series. Definitely accumulating points. Corey Bennett will be another one to watch, I think, if he's got back on. And Corey Bennett's right behind him. How is that when Corey Bennett gets spun around at the start of the race? Has some issues, has to pit for 1.5 minutes, and now Corey Bennett is in 7th position, just in the background there.
Here we go, Mason up the inside of Kieran Ellis at the chicane. They're going to go toe-to-toe. And now Fitzroy, into the side of Mason Harvey. Turns around.
Oh, let's have a look at that
chicane.
one.
That hurts.
So let's get back on Fitzroy Beaumont and check this one out.
Yeah, it all started back here. Mason pulls out to the inside of Kieran Ellis and goes for an inside run. But Ellis hung himself out to dry and says, you know what, I got the inside line on the next part. And Mason's going to come across the track, and whether he didn't see or he didn't anticipate Fitzroy to be there, and they come together, that turns Mason around.
And now Corey Bennett's in front of him. So Corey Bennett all the way up to 5th. So he's the one that's actually got the advantage out of that little incident that happened in the background. I can't see too much for Fitzroy Beaumont. Hopefully no sort of issue there moving forward, because kind of know that they were a little bit out wide, weren't they? Anyway, Corey Bennett now moves up into 5th position. So the Azura Autosports Ferrari, what a move from him to come from the back of the pack. He was running back in 17th after the first lap, and now he is back up to 5th, and we have only got 10 minutes left to go, which means we've got about 5 laps. That's all it is.
Bang on as Bennett finds himself in P5 as a result of that earlier incident at the chicane. As he comes out and down the hill out of Pujon, makes that long run down towards turn 13. Sorry, no. He comes into Pujon now as he came out of turn 11 a moment ago. Scott Stevens making his run back through the field. I'm glad you're picking up that one, because he came from, where was he, 17th or something on the field at the restart, and is charging his way back through after taking a pit stop under the competition caution.
Yeah, he was the only one to take a second pit stop. I don't think he's taken tyres, judging by that, unless he went in and took tyres and didn't take fuel. Thought maybe I can get home on fresh tyres and push through the pack. Now it's bunched up, but he has got Mason Harvey in front, who will be looking to get some positions back. But Scott Stevens on a bit of a move, and yeah, like you say, I don't know if it was 17th, but he was definitely way down there in the order after that second pit stop. He was running in 3rd. He actually got a move done there too. I think he got the 2nd just behind Paul Mounts. Him and Sam Dick were having a nice little battle there, sort of about halfway through this race, as we've only got just under 9 minutes left to go now in round number 6 here at Circuit de Spa. Round number 6 of the GT3 E-Series, all thanks to FLATOUT Karts, as well as Sam Dicker Motorsport, Arise Racing, and Direct Industries.
Stevens is really starting to put the pressure on. Next guy in line here, the 8th car, Justin McLean, as they come onto the main straight, the run towards La Source. We're seeing that gap continuing to come down. 5.6 tenths per second, now to 4.5 under brakes alone. Scott Stevens on a mission. He's going to get the toe on the run towards Radion and Eau Rouge here, and he'll pull out and maybe have a crack at Justin as they head up the Kemmel Straight into Lacombs at turns 7, 8, and 9. We'll follow this along through Radion and Eau Rouge. It is absolutely flat tap, one of the most exciting sets of corners on the planet. In the world of motorsports is now Stevens using the horsepower advantage of the BMW. He pulls out. Now he's just got to time his braking point right as they pull up under brakes into Lacombs, and Stevens goes about a car length deeper. Gets it done. It was just textbook passing move there from Scott Stevens, up to 8th now.
Yeah, another position, trying to get back to that podium. He doesn't have too many laps left to do it. Like we say, we've been talking about it, with probably 4 laps left in this one to complete, because once they hit the 1 hour mark, they will complete the lap they are on. But I've been watching the leaders up here, and Gianni is behind Paul Mansell in 2nd position. Look at the gap back to Sam Dicker at the moment. Can't even see him. But Gianni now is starting to close that gap ever so slightly. It's going back and forth between him and Paul Mansell, different parts of the track. Obviously, the advantages between the Lamborghini and the Audi. We see that time go back down to 1.6 something seconds, back up to 2 seconds in different parts of the track. Paul Mansell's going to have to be very cautious here, because one little mistake, and Gianni is, I think he's younger, he's fresher, and he's got the concentration at the moment, I think, to pull this one off if Paul doesn't keep it together for the remaining laps of this race.
Well, he's also running with limited equipment here. We had the issue with his shifter a couple of rounds ago. I think it was last round or the round before. When did we have Watkins Glen? That was 2 rounds ago, wasn't it?
2 rounds ago, round number 4, yeah.
So it was the last round that he had the issue with the shifter that brought him unstuck in the race, and he took no further part in that round of the FLATOUT KARTS GT3 E-Series. So he's running with some secondary equipment, not what he would be preferring to be racing with, but he's doing incredibly well. The gap sits at 1.9 seconds as they come out of La Source. He's just hungry to prove himself, this young guy, and he's pushing as hard as he can. But does a young, fresh, fast mind have what it takes to go up against a very talented, very reserved and calculated driver?
You can say it, mate. A veteran of the sport. Oh, he'll love that. He's a champ, mate. He's a champ in my eyes. There's Scott Stevens still in 8th. We'll just head back to him for a second because I'm looking at Fitzroy Beaumont and Dylan Guest. Now, Beaumont has the lead over Guest, but not by much. You can see Guest just there in the background, not too far away. We're coming to the latter half of this race now as we are almost down to 5 minutes left in the race. So they've had half an hour, they've had an hour of practice, which not everyone takes part in the whole hour. They've had half an hour of qualifying, and now they've had 54 minutes of race concentration. So people are starting to get tired. Some of these guys like Sam Dicker, maybe Sam's just had he's been away for the Australian karting over in Ipswich. He's had the flight back today, no sleep. Maybe his body's given up on him in this one.
Well, he could be just circulating to consolidate and at least put some points on the board. He knows he has the pace to run pretty well up the field, and at this point I think he's probably in conservation mode for poor old Sam. He's had a pretty long weekend over at Ipswich, and I wouldn't blame him for taking a back seat and going, you know what, I'll be here and I'll race, but I'm not really going to be fighting for it.
Yeah, I don't blame him either, and he needs to look at the championship now, doesn't he? Because you do get a drop round, but he missed one when he was over in Melbourne racing. So he's already pretty much going to have to use that. You're going to drop your worst round, aren't you? You're not going to drop your best round. And Paul really hasn't had a bad round. He's had some where he's got involved in some incidents, didn't quite qualify where he wanted to, got stuck in the pack, and he didn't finish on the podium at one of the events. I think it was early on, round number 2 or 1. So, you know, that's still not a bad result. He was only like 4th or 5th in that one. So that's not a huge result to drop if he can finish off and make every round here. Sam has an entire round where he got no points to drop. So he needs to try and just finish as high up the ladder as possible. And he's going to have to hold out Kieran Ellis, who is closing the gap down ever so slightly. But he doesn't want to make any mistakes if he's that tired. He doesn't want to make any mistakes at all. He'll open the gap up and you go wide, crash your car, and all of a sudden you're 10 spots down. That takes away a fair chunk of championship points.
It's a big loss in this championship. It has big gaps from the top few, and then the gaps between each position get smaller as you go further down through the field, and you start to lose a lot of points. It's already a big jump from 1st to 2nd, 289 for the win, 253 for 2nd, 221 for 3rd. The big jumps in the points allocation there as we are 3 minutes and 20 to go. Every spot counts as we follow Justin McLean, currently 13th on track.
He just went wide back there too through the chicane and opened up the door for Peter B to close that down and maybe have a bit of a dive at some point in the last couple of laps of this race. And Peter B having a fantastic race, and I did mention it before, I want to say it once again, his improvement over this series is phenomenal. It's good to see the Italian stallion making his way through the field, but currently leading you with only a couple of laps in hand left to go, 2 minutes 45 seconds, and we know we're doing 2 minutes 20 for a lap. So there won't be a big one. The injector's online. Lamborghini is out in front again. Will this be the 3rd win in a row for Paul Mansell? The hat trick. He's just got to make it home, though. We have seen Sam Dicker, though, in this predicament, and he took a curb too viciously, and it sent the car. It catapulted it out, and he lost the position to Paul Mansell earlier in the series. So he just needs to hold on to that concentration for the final couple of minutes, but I know he does a lot of endurance racing with other drivers, so 1 hour is a pretty slim race for him.
1.5 seconds the gap that he has over Gianni. Gianni has 1 lap, 2 laps. He's got 2 laps to get it done at the moment, and he's got a huge margin to make up. How's this, though? This is a battle going on. This is Dylan Guest fighting it out. Is that Mason Harvey or Scott Stevens going through for 7th?
Just going through, yeah. So Scott Stevens makes another one. And we said it earlier, we'll say it again. If you just joined us on the broadcast with the exciting last couple of laps, is that he actually took a second pit stop under the safety car and pushed him all the way back down to about 16th or 17th position. And Scott Stevens is back to 7th. He was running in 3rd, though, earlier in the race. He got in 2nd for a little bit there.
I think this pit stop gamble hasn't paid off the way Scott Stevens was potentially hoping here. And he was further up before we took that stop. He was inside the top 5 with 1:15 to go. This will be the final lap for Paul Mansell and Gianni Lutzu out front as we follow Corey Bennett, currently in P5. He's 1.7 seconds off the back here in Ellis in 4th. He's got 4.6 seconds from Fitzroy Beaumont, his teammate here in the Yazoo Autosports Ferrari 488 or 458 Italias.
488,
the GT3s. The 488.
488, yeah. Corey Bennett, he's my big mover. He got spun around or got involved in a bit of an incident on lap number 1. So he was right back. He was down to 17th as well after lap 1, and he is back up to 5th and looking at the back of Kieran Ellis if he can get a chance. So big impressor for me, Corey Bennett. He missed out on the last race, so he's already pretty much used up a drop round by not making it here. He's sitting there in the championship too. He's been on the podium before. You know, he's a strong competitor, and just unfortunately that first lap incident. Otherwise, we might have seen him back on the podium again. He's still got a couple of corners though. Something could happen to Sam Dicker. He's sort of dropped back in 3rd now, just comfortably sitting there. I don't think he's going to stress too much. I think he'll just want to bring this one home and try and get it on the podium of some description.
As Paul Mansell brings that out, and on the run to Blanchimont for the final time here, his time runs out. That is the clock at 0, and he makes his run around the final few corners, turns 17 and 18 for yet another win here in the FLATOUT KARTS GT3 E-Series as he runs to the chicane for the final time.
Oh, the lights are flashing. He'll be excited in the cockpit. He'll be want to get that points lead and extend it over Sam Dicker. I'm sure he's probably got the positions up on his relative to know exactly where Sam is. He'll be calculating the championship points, does a salute to his crew that are sitting there. Gianni Lutzu in the background in 2nd, and then we go back to Sam Dicker, who's just coming around now, makes it over the line. Kieran Ellis will go 3rd, and it's Corey Bennett, that impressive drive back to 5th in the Azure Autosport. Scott Stevens made 6th. He got past Fitzroy Beaumont. That is incredible there from Scott Stevens. Dylan Guest in 8th. Harvey Norman in the background coming through, all bunched up with that safety car. Here we go back to 9th position for Eli Tunstall, who is just taking that chicane now. And it looks like he gets home. Edward Mitchell a little bit further back. So as we go back down, this is the 10th position now. So there your top 10 have just come round to complete their laps. Justin Cotter was in a bit of a battle there a little bit early, but he opened up a gap over Peter B and Justin McLean. So there we go. Cotter makes it across. Peter B. It's good to see the Italian Stallion in 12. Justin McLean drops back into 13th. He's going straight into pit lane. That's an interesting one there. Craig Spencer will come around. He got turned around on turn number 1 with a lot of damage and had to take a pit stop as he goes into the pits as well to finish things off. Shane Ewens, the territory's own Paul's Ice Coffee Man, got the croc on the side, will come around to complete this race in position number 13 at the moment as they go around. Neil Woodburn in 14. Sebastian Guest doesn't look like he's going to finish this one. Just looking up on the screen at the moment. So we've got a few positions out with people coming into the pits. I'm not quite sure how that's going to affect them, what you're seeing on screen compared to the final results, but we'll let them finish. There you go. Shane Ewens will go through. Neil Woodburn just behind him. We'll follow him over to finish this race. It's round number 3, Circuit de Spa here for the FLATOUT KARTS GT3 E-Series. So round number 6, your winner, Paul Mansell once again. God, he gets himself another win. We can't keep letting this happen, Chris.
Yeah, well, I thought coming into this round, I was hoping Sam might have something for him, but giving himself a bit of a disadvantage by flying back from Brisbane today. The likes of Gianni Lutzu, he was right there, and again proving he has a bucket load of pace with his entry and plenty of pace. As you can see your final results there showing up in 2nd. We were hopeful he was going to put on a fight, but Mansell takes another win. He takes the win there. Gianni Lutzu 2nd, Sam Dicker 3rd. Kieran Ellis, the animated BMW, goes P4. Corey Bennett, P5. Scott Stevens probably thinking about the gamble he took with that 2nd pit stop. Maybe not paying off how he expected. He comes home P6. Fitzroy Beaumont in 7. Dylan Guest in the 8th spot. Eli Tunstall in 9. Edward Mitchell rounding out your top 10.
Then it's Justin Cotter got home in 11. Peter B in 12th. Mason Harvey in 13th. Justin McLean in 14th. Shane Ewens in 15th. Neil Woodburn 16th. Craig Spencer, an unfortunate night once again. This has not been his series, in 17th. Sebastian Guest, another one in 18th. Tyrone Anderson was on the beers early, finishing in 19th. And that's our race officials at the end. Check this out, though. As you can see, all the guys there lined up. 1, 2, 3. Gianni Litsu just doing some burnouts for us. Getting around there, but they were on the main straight. Looks like they're pulling off there now as we'll try and get around and see if I can bring them back up, but they are getting out. So we are losing the coverage on that one. There you go on the main straight. They line them up once again. Who's that? That's Craig Spencer doing what he's done the whole race? That pretty much sums up Craig Spencer's night, doesn't it?
I think it does there, and the boys are having a bit of a play on the main straight. So we do have a plan usually to get the guys on the main straight and lined up to have a chat with us. Are we going to bring anyone in tonight here, Matty?
I'm going to try. So we are going to bring them in. God, I've just got too many servers up in my thing. We're going to move him into the commentators live for Sam Dicker. So Sam, if you're listening, we have just pulled you into the commentators live. Mate, you get yourself on the podium, but it's been a huge weekend for you.
Yeah, it's been a big weekend. Not a whole lot of testing went into this round, but that was all right. It was still good fun. The usual, a few driving errors there. Need to make sure I do some laps for the next round so that I don't make silly errors like that. But it was pretty good. I had a bit of a good battle with Paul at the start there, but as soon as he got ahead, he just had that couple tenths on me a lap, so I couldn't do anything to get near him.
How close were you to getting home on fuel?
I was pretty clear. I had like 4 laps left, so I didn't run it too fine. I wish I took tyres now, but yeah, I don't know. Everything's in hindsight. It was good fun, though. We're all having a laugh on the Discord, so yeah, it was good.
No, it's another fantastic result, mate. You keep banking those points in the championship, but yeah, you're going to have to chase Paul down. I don't know what we're going to do to him. Maybe we're going to take the wing off the back.
Yeah, I know. He's bloody quick.
All right, mate. We'll see you. Are you going to be here for next round? That's the biggest question.
I don't think so at the moment. I think I'm away with work again, so bit annoying, but the series has to run on. So we'll be back for every round we can do and try and put on a good show when we can, put some testing into it, and try to put a good race on. So yeah.
Well, hopefully you're here for the historic Oran Park in round number 8, because that's going to be a ripper. I like getting around Oran Park. It's an interesting circuit.
Yeah, no, it should be good. I'm pumped for it. I hope I'm here for that round.
No worries, mate. Well, thanks for your time, and we'll let you get back to it.
Cheers, mate. Cheers, guys.
Alrighty, shall we see if Gianni is around? I know last time.
Yeah,
I think
we'll have to give him a go.
I'll send him in for you to have a chat with.
Gianni, you're in the commentators chat. If you want to unmute, we'll just have to unmute you in our side. Good drive from you, mate. How'd you have it from your end to come home in second?
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, it was a very funny race, actually, because I was fun at the start. Got hit in the back by Craig. So, yeah, finishing second, I wasn't really expecting that, to be honest with you. But, yeah, somehow just the pace was really, really good today. And, yeah, clawed it back up to second with a little bit of luck.
Did you think if you had another couple of laps, you could have had something to say about Paul at the end there?
Maybe. It was a bit on and off. Like, he would be faster in some sections. I was faster in some sections. But, yeah, I think by the end there, the tyres were just a little bit gone. I pushed it a bit too hard. And then, yeah, that was it. So, you never know. Maybe a few more laps would have done it. But, yeah, really happy with the result today.
How are you faring after the shifter failure at the previous round? Did you get it fixed for this one, or you are running with a second gear?
Yeah, so I haven't actually got it fixed yet. So my wheel at the moment doesn't work, so none of the buttons or anything work. So I'm actually using a sequential shifter. So yeah, it was a little bit weird driving in a GT3 car with the shifter, but that's all right. Got used to it and yeah, pulled through.
Well, it was a great drive, mate. Good to see you up there. Are we looking forward to seeing you at the upcoming rounds? You committed for the rest of the season?
Yeah, should be. Hopefully get the wheel fixed within the next week, so I'll have all my buttons and shifters back. So yeah, looking forward to the rest of the season. Yeah, should be good.
Oh, mate, good stuff, and look forward to seeing you out there in a Formula 1000 coming up soon as well.
Right, yeah, thank you. Looking forward. Cheers.
Cheers, mate.
All right, the next person I'm going to bring in, well, does he really need an introduction? He goes by the name Paul Mansell, and he's got himself another win tonight. Paul, have we muted you in our server? That's what we've done. No,
I got him.
You've got him?
I got him.
I don't want to talk to him, really. I want to mute him. He just keeps getting on here. I don't know. Well, we've got to keep putting him on air.
I can jump out if you want.
It's all right, mate. We like to talk to you. The Injectors Online. The car looked on song tonight, mate. It looked very comfortable on this track. Does the Lambo really like the setup here at Spa?
Yeah, definitely. I think nice stiff car like this seems to handle the nice fast curves. So and pretty sleek. I think it's pretty quick down the straight. So yeah, the Beamer just on the straight just seemed a bit slower. So comfortably sort of staying with Sam. He was still pretty quick. I couldn't get past him. I had a couple of cracks, but I just thought if I don't get him soon, and yeah, could be a bit of a hard one. So the plan was to try and get in front of him before the pit stop. So had to get a bit forceful there, but it was all worked out well.
And Gianni and Sam before you actually said they possibly would have taken some tyres on there. They were sort of running out towards the end. How was your car handling? Was it holding up to it?
Yeah, it's always a bit loose after the after the safety cars. It seems to be a bit loose for the next 3 or 4 laps. So I think that the temperature drops off a bit. But no, look, I don't think tyres are needed at all. Personally, I don't think there's an advantage there at all unless you double stint the tyres or something for 2 hours. You know, so no, I think it's comfortably the tyres hang in there, and yeah, just got to keep the heat into them and you'll be fine. So no, car felt really good. I was really happy with it.
And do you need to thank any of your sponsors tonight, mate? Injectors Online, because you can find them online.
Always, yes. Injectors Online, they sell injectors. Just got to let Tim Nickel know that. And yeah, so Injectors Online, SRT, HRS, all the guys there. And a massive happy birthday to our good mate Pecky. Wish he was here tonight, but maybe he might be celebrating that birthday. He's had a few of them.
Maybe he's had quite a few of them. And I did notice he put up on social media he's got the smallest steering wheel to try and amplify the size of his arms.
Yeah, well, I think everything in that room is quite small anyway. So yeah, I'm not surprised he looked pretty big there.
Oh, mate, we tried to show the happy birthday on your roof tonight, but under lights it was extremely difficult. But we did do a shout out to Mark, and hopefully he gets us here for the next round for round number 7.
Yeah, hopefully, mate. But yeah, another good win. I'm very happy with that, and looking forward to Monza and see how things go from there.
No worries, mate. We'll let you go.
Thanks, guys. Well done. Cheers.
Yeah. Oh, there you go, Chris. We are run and done for tonight. Of course, your results are there, and it's Paul Mansell takes the win once again. Gianni Letsu in second. Comes back after some sim failure in previous rounds. Sam Dicker makes it home in third. Kieran Ellis, you know, so close again. Corey Bennett with a huge move after a first lap spin there, makes it back into 5th. Scott Stevens took a second pit stop, then drove his way all the way back up to 6th from 16th, 17th. Fitzroy Beaumont just misses out there as Scott Stevens gets him on the last lap. But it was all happening at this round, but it's really next round we've got to look forward to now.
Yeah, off to Monza. I think we're doing it at night again this coming weekend. It's a night race on the 28th of Feb. It's going to be a shame. I'm going to miss you for this one. I'm going to be off playing with drag cars for the 50th Annual Western Nationals here at Perth Motorplex coming up. But I wish you the best, and it's going to be an awesome race at Monza.
Can't wait for Monza. Make sure you join us here on Medicab Media for next week, and we'll see you then.